What up, everybody? Welcome
Hello,
to
hello,
Worcestery.
hello.
Counts
Hey.
3,000. Guys, I'm in a spooky abandoned operating room. Look at
Ooh.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna get killed.
Yeah. Hopefully on screen.
Is it haunted?
Yeah, it's very haunted. Yeah, haunted by the
Come here.
liberal union film workers of America.
Well, that's very interesting.
Guys, everyone, look at Davin.
Speaking of haunted,
This stream is
Aw.
brought to you by Davin and Crafty Kombucha, our two sponsors.
Yes.
Uh,
So cute. Yeah, thank you, Crafty Kombucha, as always, for sponsoring Worcester's other brewery and local culture. And we love it, folks. Very good. Go get yourself a bottle of that sweet, sweet craft tea wherever the sweet, sweet craft tea is sold.
And if your local store doesn't sell Crafty Kombucha, tell them I'll bring a ghost patient to come.
also by
Yeah, Sean, what is that wonderful shirt?
Oh.
Look at that. Who makes those? Yeah, you can head over to billshaner.bigcartel.com to participate in this craven grift off of weird internet beef in Worcester.
And you can maybe make some money finally because you've been losing money lately.
I have just barely broken even after an error with the printing company. Made it so that I had to repay for and resend 13 of the shirts out of the 60 or so I ordered, cutting into an already pretty thin profit margin. So
what the hell happened there? Why? We'll talk about this off air.
Yeah, it was just a silly problem, but the customer service representative for the place basically told me to go fuck myself, and I had to manually resend and repay for all of those shirts. So that was a fun thing that I did today.
So everybody buy an extra one to make up for it. And don't worry, they come in huge sizes too. So
I like that we're both wearing it.
We got two of them. But anyway, the matter at hand tonight is the city council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And we have housing order after housing order after housing order tonight. Tonight is all housing all the time.
It's housing week.
It's housing week. Yeah, we're going to revisit what was originally Patel's order for an eviction moratorium that got processed into nothingness. And it's very confusing, and I don't even know what it's actually achieving anymore. Welcome to Worcester, folks. That's just how it works around here. George Russell has orders on for rental assistance and mortgage assistance. Tu Nguyen has orders on for a Know Your Rights campaign for renters and for more heating and cooling centers for the city's homeless. And then Joe Petty is calling for the first large-scale affordable housing development with the Worcester Housing Authority since 1992. So that'll be a fun one. That was part of his promise, if you'll remember, during the inauguration. So we'll see what he has in mind for that. And then Mo Bergman bewilderingly wants the city to inform the constables at Worcester Housing Court about any rental assistance programs that are out there. I don't quite know what he's after with that one, but we shall hear what he has to say. I don't know how the constables are going to help, what they're going to do with that information, or why he had that idea in the first place.
It's like he learned that we had constables and he was like, let's use them.
Yeah. Wait, what if we use the constables to evict people and also let them know that they could have applied for rental assistance while they're being evicted? Yeah, that's great. That's just smart public policies. Yes, exactly, the constables who will assault you if you try to block an eviction.
Yes.
They serve the notices, and then they occasionally will forcibly evict people.
And they revel in it.
They love it. It's a job you volunteer for. One of the most
Yes.
miserable jobs you could possibly have, and people volunteer for it.
Volunteer for it.
It's very, very weird. It's like,
Do they wear funny hats and like proper uniforms? I mean, a name of constable comes with reverence.
yeah, right. Yeah, they should dress like old school like town criers, right? Like
Yes.
like a cool little wig,
Or like a British bubby.
some leader hosens or whatever.
They should look as ridiculous as possible.
Some old timey pants. Maybe like a nice wooden billy club too. That would be good.
But if it looked like a wooden billy cup, but it was actually like foam. It was like what they use for Keystone Cops. That'd be like,
right,
have them dressed like Keystone Cops. That's it. We figured it out.
Yeah. So we'll hear Mo Bergman's wonderful idea on that. So I'm expecting a lot of people, city councilors, being like, "We need to do something about housing," and the city manager going, "We're doing all we could possibly ever do." And nice try, but see you later. So
we got a box for that.
Yeah. What do you mean we have a housing problem? We're building so many new $3,000 a month apartments. How could we possibly be having a problem? It's the Worcester.
They're all one bedrooms. They're all one bedrooms. So you know everyone loves it. Yeah,
just in the news today that the residential development going in alongside Polar Park is going to be like 230 units, and only 5 of them are 3 bedrooms. The rest are going to be 1 and 2 bedrooms or studios.
Insane.
So, not for families. If you have a family, go fuck
or
yourself.
even like, I mean, you'd think it'd be smart for them. I know, like, that, you know, obviously fuck families, right? Fuck my family, fuck your family, fuck all families. But even like students, like, why not have a 3-bedroom so a bunch of kids can all live in the same apartment too?
And
stay here, and like fall in love with Worcester and stay here and build jobs here. Wouldn't that be fun?
No, instead you have to beg and beg and beg and beg to try to get a triple-decker apartment because there's no vacancies at all, and we're not building any new housing at that level. It's all just stuff that's a little bit unattainable for your average person. So we're doing great. We're doing great, folks. And the Renaissance is going great. And
I'm running for state senate.
Yeah, everyone's running.
You too?
We all are. Everyone is.
Yeah.
I am Spartacus.
I'm going to run for state senate on the platform of I'm a hair smarter than Joe Petty. Not really, but like just by a little bit. Yeah. That's fun. I don't know. Has anyone else thrown their hat in the ring for that? Yeah.
I've heard a couple other things that are not confirmed. Should I say them?
Yeah, whatever. Let's get the rumor mill going.
David LaBeouf, obviously.
Yeah, that's pretty much confirmed.
And Robin Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a new one for me.
Yeah, Robin Kennedy. She's the associate director at YWCA.
Yeah.
And has done a bunch of McGovern campaigns and all that stuff.
Yeah, interesting.
Any Erland favorites?
Well,
what was that?
If Joe Petty runs, he's probably going to win, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a very exciting contest. But, I mean, Robin could maybe give him a run.
She's got the McGovern mafia on her side.
Yeah, the crime family.
Oh, I gotta, I write for your former employer now, Bill.
Yeah.
And I got an email that I am taking over for Janice Harvey with my liberal ideas, and that I write for the Worcester Democrat magazine.
Oh wow, burn, dude! That's a sick fucking burn.
Yeah, it hurt for a while.
Yeah. Dude, I talked about it on my podcast, the most recent episode, but after last week, or in the lead up to last week, Doug Arbiter got a bunch of heat, bunch of hate.
Yeah.
And one of the messages was COVID is stupid and gay. Just
The
like
best. The best.
Just like, that's so funny. Like, you got it
Just
on,
like you.
Yeah, COVID is stupid and gay, just like you. Just imagine like some Karen just like typing that, being like, "This is the funniest thing I've ever come up with."
I am COVID and you are gay. Whatever happens to me sticks to you.
You know that
Yeah.
person high-fived the nearest person after they finished writing that.
Yeah,
And they wrote it at Scruffy Murphy's.
yeah, right. They're like, Donna, look what I just typed. Look what I just typed this night. But yeah, so yeah, we Doug got thoroughly punished for caring, and I had him on the pod to talk about that, and it was very funny. Also pulled out some choice sound clips, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to think about that meeting last week too much, but that was
I know.
that
You
was
did a
one of the
good
worst
job.
things.
You made it entertaining, like, because for us at the show, this was a slog listening to it, but you made it fun on the podcast.
Yeah, I just pulled out the best clips. You know,
It was also great because Dan didn't know what he was to expect, and he got to laugh wholeheartedly at all the things.
Yeah, like he hadn't listened to it the night before. And I was like, I'm not showing you any of these clips in advance. Just like, get ready for them. They're going to be so funny. Yeah, that was great. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, but we'll see.
Brian said he got killed by a ghost, so
Yeah, he got taken out.
R.I.P. Brian.
Yeah, the truth was too much, so he's dead. Oh. My God. Hey, the city moved, or I don't know if they did it yet. No, I think this is still on WebEx, but they're going to move to Zoom finally. Maybe it'll run a little smoother, but
yeah, WebEx is so clunky.
Yeah, I'm not holding out for it really running smoother, but Zoom is a better platform, so hopefully they'll be
Black History Month first.
Should we sell our StreamYard license to them?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Whereas 50
Hey
years
guys,
after
don't
the
worry
first
about it. We'll
operation during America's bicentennial in 1976, President Gerald Ford proclaimed February as National African American History Month, urging Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area and endeavor throughout our history. Whereas February marks the observance of many other important milestones in African American history. On February 1st, 1865, Abraham Lincoln signed the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery, known today as National Freedom Day. The 15th Amendment granting Black men the right to vote was adopted February 3rd, 1870. And on February 12th,
Donna Calorio's learning a bunch of new things right now.
Was founded.
Yeah.
And on February 25th, 1870, Armed Rose Rebels, the first Black U.S. Senator, took oath of office.
You know,
And
I'm
whereas
gonna
special
change my mind
recognition is
about
given
these
to
guys.
local icons such as Bethany Benny and Sarah Ella Wilson, well-known African Americans in Worcester who contributed to the community. Whereas Bethany is remembered as an abolitionist, author, beloved community member, and as the oldest resident of Worcester, Mass. At the time of her death in 1915, 103 years old, Bethany Benny was born a slave. After living a short time in Providence, Rhode Island, Benny settled in Worcester, Mass. And with her daughter and 3 grandchildren. Bethany published the narrative of the Bethany Benny, a slave woman, in 1889, over 20 years after slavery was abolished. Whereas Sarah Ella Wilson, the daughter of George and Elizabeth Wilson, was born in Worcester, Mass. In 1874. She was an active member of the community and was one of the first African-American school teachers in Worcester. She taught first grade at Belmont Elementary School from 1895 to 1944. Sarah Wilson was a member of the Worcester's Women's Progressive Club and vice president of the Home of the Aged Colored People. In 1972, the Belmont Street Community School named its library after her. And in 1974,
Whoever prepared this for Joe did a great job. This is pretty cool.
About Wilson entitled,
yeah, I like this a lot.
Whereas it's important us to remember the Black History Month seeks to rightfully
I do love
restore
how he
the
says
struggles
school
and
every
triumphs
time.
of the African American into the national narrative. While this work is far from finished, Woodson's vision and all have upheld his cause have helped us tell the whole story of America and everyone who built it. Without the struggles of the African Americans, the story of America is incomplete. Whereas after 1865, the ratification of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the United States Constitution, the complete freedom and civil rights granted to previously enslaved men and women and children was subverted by brutal Jim Crow
This
laws,
is Dan Rascott spending
preventing
a
their ability
good
to pursue life,
couple
liberty,
hours
and
on
happiness
Wikipedia.
as
Yeah.
fully free citizens. And whereas
We're spending 10 minutes
1954
talking to
and
Bill Wallace.
1968,
Yeah, right,
activists, in
right.
particular women, spearheaded the civil rights
Either way,
movement, fought for social
drinks were had.
justice, constitutional rights, organized sit-ins, workshop boycotts, and grassroots campaigns. Whereas time for us to continue our collective journey of honoring and deepening our knowledge of the history and contributions of African Americans.
I'll be right back. I'm just going to help him go to bed.
Have been
Yeah, you got it.
marginalized because of the country's legacy of slavery, institutional and structural racism. The observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the continued need to battle racism and build a society that lives up to the democratic
It's
ideals.
interesting that he's reading this
And
resolution, and
whereas
Christian
we
King
will
also
continue
has a
to work
resolution
toward becoming an inclusive community
that's
in
a
which
little bit
all
more
peoples,
of the
past, present, and
moment.
future, are respected and
later
recognized
in
for
the
their
agenda, so
contributions.
we'll see how that
Now,
goes.
therefore, I, Mayor Joseph M.
Talking
Petty,
about
hereby
how
proclaim the month of February 2022 as
Black
Black
Lives
History
Matter
Month in the City of Worcester and the City
and how
Council.
there's institutional
And the
racism
city
that needs to be
staff
addressed.
and all
So,
residents hereby acknowledge and celebrate the contributions of the City of Worcester, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, United States made by African Americans. Signed by Joseph M. Petty. Thank you. We have next we have the approval of the minutes. We can do a roll call.
Councilor Bergman,
Yes.
Mr. Calorio,
yeah,
Yes.
Christian King's resolution reads, let me see here.
we already
Worcester
released
Council
it?
believes that Black Lives Matter and that the Worcester City Council commits itself not only to address the symbols and manifestations of institutional racism and white supremacy, but also to proactively identify and address biases, practices, policies, and institutional barriers that perpetuate injustice and inequality in our city, schools, and community. That I don't know if we're gonna get. I don't think anybody would publicly take a stand against that, but I know that there's some things in there that are going to rub silver.
calling users, I'm going to state your first digit of your phone number.
I'm going to turn this down just a
Hear the
hair.
phone number, please state your name and city of residence and the item you're calling about. We'll start with the first phone
Hopefully
number.
this is a little less
774.
than
Yeah,
last week.
hopefully.
Unmuted that phone number now. If you can please state your name and city of residence. Okay, not hearing from that phone number. We're going to move on to the next person. Next number is 508-735. I'm going to unmute you now.
I don't think
Your boyfriend died.
Nathan calling.
they're dead.
Good.
And
So on 9
And agreed, Ringo.
on opera funds, I just want to
Your boyfriend
say
got eaten by
there
ghosts,
are a lot
Jess.
of jobs
I hate
out
to be the
there.
bearer
Every
of bad
place I go
news,
into,
but
people
it happened live here on the
ask
stream.
you, hey, are you interested in working here? So there are jobs out there. So I just want to make that known. My next item is 10H on the Black History Month. I just want to remind people. You have stated, Mayor Petty, this is Black History Month, so I want to remind people that Black lives matter. Thank you.
oh,
Thank you.
nice. That's
Okay.
not where I expected that to go.
Not even a little bit.
Next calling user.
That was very weird. The classic dichotomy between go get a job, you bum, and Black Lives Matter. You don't hear that a lot.
774-312. If you're on the phone, can you please state your name and city of residence? Okay, now hearing from that calling user, we're going to move on to the next one.
Yeah, I was waiting for an M. Night Shyamalan
508-735.
twist there.
I'm going to unmute you now.
Hello, this is Robert Branca, Brand
Stuck the
Realty
landing,
Group,
Jess.
based on Shrewsbury Street, calling in regarding Proposal 13A. We own numerous properties in the city, including multi-tenant retail plazas that include filling stations, which this proposal seeks to ban.
Oh, yeah.
These properties were
The
developed
gas
and
station
operated by
ban, new
two
construction for
immigrant
gas
families
stations. Doug Arbiter's
who achieved the
petition.
American dream in Worcester, like many other immigrant families, a hallmark of which our city should be proud. While the desire to reduce emissions pollutions is certainly a legitimate and worthy goal, it is not served by this moratorium and will cost the city money. Banning filling stations will render people who cannot afford expensive new electrical vehicles with few to no options.
No,
there are
but
nearly
it's
no
new
used
construction. You're
EVs
not
for
going to
people to
get rid of
buy,
all
so
the
these
gas
folks will be
stations.
buying
You're
used
not going to build
gasoline
anymore.
and diesel-powered vehicles and driving them for years.
What
The
the
moratorium will do nothing to reduce emissions and will likely increase them as our residents are forced to drive further distances to fill up the cars that they can actually afford in neighboring towns.
There's a million
Those
gas
fill-ups
stations
nearly
in the
always
city.
come with ancillary purchases
Oh,
that
hey, guess
generate
what?
sales and meals
We've been
taxes
joined by
for
our
the city.
permanent guest,
We own
Bryan
several of
O'Donnell.
these properties.
Hey,
and you'll notice in these
Brendan!
properties there are
What's
multiple
up, man?
uses that do generate these taxes. We've invested millions
This
of
guy
dollars
thinks they're getting rid of
to
all gas
generate the
stations.
revenue that occurs at these sites. Such a moratorium would certainly unjustly pick winners and losers. Now, our new state-of-the-art stations would certainly be winners in this scenario. And while we would appreciate the competitive moat and the unlimited pricing power it would grant us, it's not the right move for the city of Worcester or its residents.
Hey, Brandon.
And yes, gasoline-powered engines are likely to be.
How you feeling?
But our market
Near
research
100%
shows that
now.
to be decadent.
Ooh, near 100 degrees fever?
That was wild. That was a really tough weekend. For anyone who's paying attention, yeah, I definitely recommend not getting COVID. That's just don't do it.
Currents for charging or fuel cell.
It was basically a 72-hour fever dream.
It would be something
Oh,
that
boy.
we don't know. We can't.
I'm
see
still
in the
I'm still a
future.
co-virgin.
It might be better to
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was going to be the one. I was going to make it all the way through.
Types of underground
I mean, I made it
so
through the
that when
90s
those
without catching some weird shit.
technologies become
This,
more
I
widely
thought I was going to do it
available,
twice.
these stations
Did your
will
did your
obsolete,
asshole son give it to you?
and will continue to be
No,
occupied and tax-producing.
wife and son
you very
have
much.
managed to
Thank you.
stay COVID-free.
Yeah, next
Wow.
Yeah.
I think because I was working in the
Identify as
kitchen
508,
for the onset of the
579.
pandemic,
I'm
I'm
gonna
just
mute you
never
now.
going to get it now because I
Yeah,
got it
probably.
a million times.
Show us the baby.
The baby is. he was on twice already, which he's never on.
Here to speak on item 13.
He's now going to bed, so sorry, you missed out.
Yeah.
When this is over, you can go and watch it, Jess. Also, you can just FaceTime me anytime you want. We're friends.
Developers from redeveloping current parcels of land that have been underutilized and unkept for decades. Just in the past 2 months, the petitioner, along with supporters, have discouraged two projects to go forward.
Thank you for all the well wishes. Very nice. Yeah.
Both have not
Still testing positive though, so I'm not like
utilized
not out and about yet.
for decades and have been eyesores throughout this time. Having new visitors and folks who haven't been in the city for years visit one of the many wonderful restaurants, venues, or Worcester Red Sox, and having to drive by these depleted vacant lots does not present the city as one of the fastest growing cities in America with a strong economic development vision.
I hate
doing my best not to.
These sites
Yeah.
were brought both zoned by right. Like any new gas station in the city, they have to apply for a special permit regardless of the location. Deterring competition will continue to allow other stations to increase the price of gas and let.
Just enough for talking about eyesores, but he wants a gas station built.
Jess
Like,
wants to see it.
right next to another gas station.
Like, to eliminate the reliance of fossil fuels by 2045. The unfortunate truths are that the availability of electrical vehicles is currently not there. The vast majority of vehicles currently are internal combustion engines and will be
Say
for
goodnight.
the foreseeable future. Lastly, the collateral consequences of this order will disproportionately target low to moderate income residents who will not be able to afford an electrical vehicle and will have to continue to purchase used vehicles.
This guy is pushing for a gas station
Everywhere.
No, he doesn't like the gas station ban on new construction.
He doesn't like the new construction.
He doesn't. There's a ban on for new.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, and he wants that to be able to happen. I see.
He wants gas stations. He's from the Chamber of Commerce, so.
Yeah.
They want to turn vacant lots into fill stations.
Why not?
Okay, now hear from Ms. Avila. We're going to move on
It's
to
so
the next
stupid.
speaker.
We have so many.
Isaac Gerard.
Yeah.
But we need
Exactly.
more.
Gerard, can you
Sean, they're going to raise the price of gas
I'm
if we
muting you
don't.
now.
Which is not how gas prices work.
You all don't remember what it was like with Jimmy
Mr.
Carter
John
was
Rogers.
president.
Mr. Rogers, I'm going to mute you now.
Yes, hello, John Rogers from Worcester. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome,
I am
Mr.
calling
Rogers.
about agenda item 14C. First, in full disclosure, I've been a poll worker for 10 years for the city of Worcester,
14.
and I think I'm doing a pretty good job. I'm against item 14C, which calls for non-citizens to be able
naturalized,
to vote in local elections. I do not believe it is legal to allow non-citizens to vote in these local elections, and I strongly encourage the city councilors to seek the guidance of the city solicitor and Secretary of State, William Galvin, regarding allowing non-citizens to vote. I also feel that allowing non-citizens to vote is doing a disservice to those folks in Worcester who have taken the time to obtain naturalized citizenship. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I yield the remainder of my time.
I feel like his voice sounds like he's pro dead people voting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next
Anti-illegal immigrants.
The craziest people yield their time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I've yielded my time. I guess I'm one of the crazies, Travis.
Yes, thank you. I'm a Worcester resident in District 5, and I'm
Just
here
to be clear,
in
those are
support
your
of
words.
Agenda Item 13A to ban new gas stations. To correct what sounded like a misunderstanding from earlier, this would be a ban on new gas stations, not existing ones. There are already many tens of gas stations around Worcester. I'll point out the City Council unanimously declared a climate emergency on September of 2019. Back then, the goal was to keep warming to around 1.5 degrees C over pre-industrial levels, which the IPCC informed us was very bad, but not apocalyptically bad. 2 degrees C was viewed as extremely bad, with the possibility of crossing over self-reinforcing feedback loops. Now, a plurality of climate scientists in a recent Nature survey predicted 3 degrees C was what we would actually get by 2100. This is what our children are going to have to live with.
Can we get
due to our
I have no idea what I'm
issues.
supposed to be worried about here.
Just continuous declare an emergency.
Right, I thought this was your podcast partner for a second. His voice sounded very familiar. Just because he's spouting off climate issues too. Like, I'm expecting the price of the barrel of oil to come up next.
Shift more trips from cars to transit, biking, and
That was the
walking.
previous item.
Power most automobiles, trucks, buses, and trains with electricity from renewable or low greenhouse gas sources, and reduce automobile trips through efficient land use policies. Allowing new gas stations is completely antithetical to those key parts of the plan. And the difficult part of transitioning to carbon-free transport and is converting our existing infrastructure.
This guy's making great points. He's just ridiculously
the
boring.
Part is stop building new fossil fuel infrastructure.
That's the rub, right?
As the same goes, when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging.
Know what they're talking about.
It's frustrating to see.
He's speaking an inconvenient truth.
Digging, not just just generally, but this would be it.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll
thank you. Appreciate your comments.
I think they cut him off before he yielded.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next speaker is Paul Franco. I'm going to try to unmute Mr. Franco now.
Hi, greetings from Paul Franco from the west side of Worcester. I'm speaking in opposition to item
right down
13A. I believe that prohibiting the construction of gasoline gas stations is actually misdirected. It's probably going to hurt lower income and middle income people that need access to gasoline.
What
right
the
now,
hell?
the biggest problem with electronic vehicles is you can't afford one.
Ooh, Brian.
A Tesla or some other EV vehicles, but they're far too expensive. This
People are so dumb.
Change to the
Paul,
bylaws would actually hurt poor people, people that work.
You know,
and
Paul thought he patted himself on the back when he thought of this argument. He does not believe it, but he's like, "Oh, this is going to be good. I can use this."
I'll show those liberals.
Gas stations come
I'm
under
the one that cares
Chapter
about the
21E of
poor.
general laws, which is a very strict law on construction of gasoline stations. There are many good environmental controls so that a new
My
gas
dogs are
station
farting. It smells so
far
bad over
cleaner and
here.
far safer than the ones that have been built in the past. As
I'm
an
farting
alternative,
too.
I
It
think
smells really bad over here.
if the city wants to encourage development of charging
farting.
stations at these gas stations, I think that would be great. A great idea, because then you can still service.
What's Candy looking at?
drive every day using gasoline.
She playing
And
solitaire?
When the time comes when we can afford the more expensive EV vehicles, they
She's
can
putting
have
Joe Petty in her burn book.
charging station available to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So I found this
Okay,
link,
next speaker.
and it says that we
Thank
have
you, Mr. Mayor. Next speaker is
17
Sam
gas
Turkin. I'm
stations,
gonna
but I
try to
feel like
unmute
there are
Sam now.
more.
Way more.
Yeah, I would say that
Just
there are
listen.
more.
Thank you. The next speaker is Timothy Hansen. I'm going to try to unmute Timothy now.
Just listening.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Mayor, the last speaker is Bill Tab, but I'm going to try to mute Bill
Was that
now.
the Tim Hansen?
Just listening as well.
All right. Mr. Mayor, that concludes the end of public participation virtually.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you.
Much more tolerable than last week.
Absolutely.
I totally forgot about the gas station thing.
Hey,
I
Candy.
thought it was gonna
Candy's here.
7A,
Oh, hey, Candy.
refer to the Department of Public Works and Parks. 7B.
Candy,
through
what are you writing about
7E,
Joe
refer
Petty
to
in your
the
burn
Public
book?
Works Committee. 7F and 7G.
Joe
refer to the
Petty
Traffic
is a
and
dumb
Parking
bitch.
Committee. Take those collectively.
And I hate
and
him.
Along with 8A, the motion to adopt.
The thing that's frustrating about the gas station
So take those
conversations
collectively.
is
That's all right with everybody? Okay.
it kind of forces the
Roll call.
U.S.-centric take we have
Bergman?
on everything, where
Councilor Calorio?
we don't have any real hard goals for transitioning to electric vehicles, but most of the EU does, and that ends up being as big, if not bigger, a lion's share of, like, you guys made fun of me a couple weeks ago for riding a motorcycle, right? Like, most of the EU is 2030, no more gasoline fueled motorcycles, right? Like,
Right.
they buy more motorcycles than we do in the U.S. So, like, that means we don't have gasoline powered motorcycles anymore.
Yes. Okay, orders 9A, request the city manager communicate with the Massport regarding adding additional signage on the airport drive to better direct vehicles to the Worcester Municipal Airport. Councilor Bergman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very brief.
No,
Really,
you
the
won't. He
signage
always
is
says that, and then he's not.
insignificant as far as
Every
what
time.
people, I believe, need to see. You know, people going up there, not everybody's from Worcester. A lot of people are from the towns and elsewhere. And even if you are from Worcester, I've missed that sign before, and I drive by that neighborhood fairly frequently. I know it's not the city's responsibility to erect
Try
and
not
maintain
driving
the
through.
signage, but I think reaching out to Massport and getting a more significant sign will benefit a lot of people, not only people that live in Worcester, but people that travel to the airport. I can tell you when it's dark out or when it's foggy, and it often is in that neighborhood and on that hill, it's virtually impossible to see that sign. It's very
When
small.
I'm conducting a city council meeting in my car and I'm trying to get to the airport.
Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor GA?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Merle Carlson?
Yes.
Thank you for your service, Mo Bergman.
this fake drama happening within our
beautiful.
It's amazing.
Commission of Public Works and Parks provided councils an update concerning the status of using Elm Park for ice skating purposes. Councilor Bergman.
As it reads, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
It's like riding a rocket ship. I don't know if you've been on an electric bike yet. Wild.
Crazy.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
I was not ready for it at all.
Councilor King?
This is about skating
Yes.
on Elm Park.
Carlson?
Is it like anti
Yes.
or for?
Councilor Nguyen?
I don't know. He just said as it
Yes.
reads, so he
Councilor
didn't
Rose?
really let us know where he's
Russell?
coming from.
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
I don't know if
Yes.
you can skate on
Mayor
Elm Park
Petty.
anymore.
Yes.
I think it might be too
9C.
swampy.
Request manager, request
The
the
ice
Public
doesn't
Works and Parks
I'm sure
provide
people
council
do
to
it.
report concerning the cost, benefits, and best practices associated with establishing
I can't wait.
synchronized traffic lights on the well-traveled
Brendan, did you
roads
see?
throughout
Brendan, did
the
you
city.
see what one of the petitions
Thank you,
is?
Mr. Chairman. This is
Which
an
one?
item that I know you've
7C?
spoken about, as well as some of our other colleagues. You know, we're talking about
I think I caught
environmental
everything
issues,
that
we're
was
talking
interesting, but
about
I don't want to
traffic costs,
spoil whatever you're getting at.
Yeah, yeah.
on the council and in the council chamber. And synchronized street lights do exist in other communities and other cities. They benefit the environment. They benefit traffic flow. I know we've talked about doing it before. I know ARPA funds are everybody's seeking their fair share of ARPA funds, but I'm not.
Does he look like he's
suggesting
doing this from a
we do this
confessional to
throughout
you
the
guys?
city, but
Yeah, it's,
like we've
it's
talked about
the
pilot
one of
programs in
the
different neighborhoods.
those
I
yeah.
think it'd be important and useful to know what best practices are in implementing this type of synchronized lighting program. Maybe we could pick one or two major intersections.
Can his face be the red light?
More and more traffic as we have more and
So
more people.
this is
living
one of
here,
those things
and we
that
have more
Yenny
and more
brought up
construction
early
going
in the
on. I
campaign
think
cycle at a
synchronized
couple
lighting
public
Park
forums,
Ave, for
and
example,
it was
Island Street,
all Mo's
Plantation
people
Street, there
who
are
were just literally like
numerous streets
booing and like
that could
jeering
benefit
her
from
for
a pilot
suggesting.
program.
And he's like, "This is a great idea."
We've talked about it as a council pretty much since I
missed that,
can
but that
recall,
makes perfect sense.
almost a decade. And I think we have the funds to try to really take a good look at actually
What is
implementing
he
something
looking
along
at?
these lines, and I hope we'll consider doing that. Thank you.
I actually
Thank you.
like that.
So send that
I
to
hate that
the
he stole it
manager.
from Yanni,
Roll
but I
call.
like it.
Yeah, that should have been done years
Council
ago.
Bergman,
Yeah.
Yes.
Council Calorio,
Yes.
Council GA,
Yes.
Council King,
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson,
Yes.
Council Nguyen,
Yes.
Council Rivera,
Yes.
Council Rose, yes. Russell,
Yes.
Spot on.
Nailed it.
and Mayor Petty.
Were you getting at
Yes.
name changes
Okay,
for
next
roads,
item is
John?
Yep.
Beautiful.
I thought of you the moment I saw it earlier today.
Along with 13C, so I read those. Of course, city manager considered creating a program to assist the Worcester residents who are having difficulty paying their rent or mortgage as a result of the pandemic and related issues. Said program should be staffed by city employees directly working with and identifying any funding sources, including APA funds, to make payments on their behalf to landlords or mortgage
Hopper.
The program should provide ongoing support as opposed to the support previously provided to clear back rents. Request manager consider providing immediate assistance to any Worcester residents who are typically finding difficulty paying their rent or mortgage utilizing the funding available, including ARPA funds. That's Council Russell. We also have 13C, which was amended and held last week by Council Haji. Request standing committee on economic development to hold a meeting to discuss all available legal and financial resources to protect renters, homeowners facing eviction.
Why are we taking these together?
Recommendation to support landlords.
I don't know. I was just trying to figure that out.
And rental arrearage resources.
Because they already know the
including
answers, they're
discussion
just
how
gonna
the city can
well, I'll just
increase
vote on the
housing
same thing.
affordability.
I'll all say no at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, Council Russell.
Mr. Chairman, on 9D and 9E, I would just send them to the administration as they read. I do want to compliment the administration, though.
He's
for,
redder this week.
Their actions. I know I received a phone call from representative from the anti-foreclosure team.
Really is.
Complimenting
Is he okay?
the manager's team on.
He doesn't know how to turn down the heat.
To assistance for eviction.
Or take off his sweater.
Yeah, the sweater makes him look good. It makes him lose 5 pounds.
He's gotta lift his arms. It's a whole thing.
Let everybody know that they're there. If I may, on the item that I held last week that the council.
That I was very angry about.
Yeah, right.
No problem with the item as it reads. I would request, though, on the
Yeah, he looks like he's in the
second
business station of a Holiday Inn. You're so right, Paul.
That's his basement. He has a pool table.
I would ask that it's amended to say.
But it looks like the business center.
No, I know. I was just kidding.
Excuse me, excluding eviction moratorium. And that's on the second line on 13C, at very end, financial resources, and I would insert excluding an eviction moratorium, and that's based on the fact that we followed that item last week, just to be clear on it. That's all.
So there's definitely a bird in that painting behind him.
He's being vindictive, huh? He doesn't like that he wasn't. He does not like that he was not told that she was going to try that.
Clarify that when I'm talking about
Good
legal
night, Devin.
resources, I am talking about
They say goodnight too.
folks having representation in court. We've had during the pandemic, we have had many people who are not even aware that they have the ability to request legal representation, and that's because once folks get the notice to quit, they are intimidated and leave their home. I would ask that, however this order is amended, that in all this conversation that we're having about evictions and foreclosures, that we do not forget the people who are being evicted, not for reasons of non-payment. And again, I will clarify this every chance I get. We are seeing rising rents. We're seeing investors coming in and swooping properties. We are seeing people who can no longer afford to stay in their apartments because they're getting evicted as a result of high rents. So I ask that these conversations, whether they're in economic development or with the city manager's office, include a broader view of our housing prices.
I like that Attell is showing people how to say her name because they're all saying it wrong.
That's fine. The way they're worded, they're to request the city manager. So I asked that they go to the
Look at Attell's
administration,
pose
but
after
they don't.
after saying that.
Yeah,
to George.
I know.
Oh, it's the
That's
best.
a mic drop.
So we can have a good discussion on both of these items, all three items. I think what's Contra Haji said it pretty well, that we shouldn't forget these people who are, we all know it too, so we see it. So we'll send this to Economic Development Committee as amended.
Just a master wordsmith.
Roll call.
We all know it. Hey, we all know it.
Yeah, I think Attell, she's, we know it.
So it says here, it says
things are bad, like she
Standing
said.
Committee on Economic
The
Development
way
holding
she
meeting
said
to
it was
discuss
good,
all
but, things are
legal
bad
and
out there, and we shouldn't
financial resources,
forget that.
excluding the eviction moratorium to protect renters, etc. So we voted it down 11-0 last week. So
voted down.
Yeah, we voted.
Yeah, that was a separate order. So so I thought we couldn't put on something again within 90 days.
That is correct. Yeah. So
I don't know if that's a proper amendment.
Yeah, you are correct. I should have probably excluded that because we already voted the eviction moratorium. It's sort of irrelevant in some respects, yes. So
We just wanted to have this tasty drama out in the open.
Yeah. Which I should have done. So because we did vote it, and we have 90 days, so we're not going to do the eviction moratorium.
Civically
I think Council
sassy.
Russell was just making sure people understood that.
Ooh, I like that. That's a shirt, Trev.
Yeah, I'll make sure we're following the rules, Mr. Chairman. And
That's if we make shirts. It
certainly
says civically
support
sassy on it.
the spirit of a lot of this as it relates to our homeowners and our renters and folks trying to remain in the city. As I stated last week, I think, the increase in rents that we're seeing are making it even more difficult for our renters. And sometimes they respond to that in a way that's not helpful to the landlord. I'm hoping that as we move this to economic development, we have that sort of conversation, where we can explore all options. And, again, time is of the essence. I know that this moratorium was thought of to put in place during this pandemic and during the surge, in addition to the longstanding issues. And I just want to reemphasize that time is certainly of the essence as it relates to that. And want to just clarify, by no means of supporting, exploring the specifics of a moratorium isn't to have folks not be paid as landlords and mortgage holders. I think there's a duality here that's important, where everybody can be provided that assistance. So thank you for clarifying that amendment was not proper.
Okay, so we're going to take 9D and 9E, refer it to administration and to the Economic Development Committee, and take 13C, refer that to Economic Development Committee. Roll call.
Candy, can you be a part of that? Or
Yes. Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor GA?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
All right.
Yes. 9F, request manager
Yeah.
provide
Now we're
counsel
having
with
a
report
completely
on the
nebulous
feasibility
and
of creating a
unfocused
Know Your
conversation
Rights
about
and resources campaign in the city,
rents and
multiple
evictions
languages that
going to the
informs
Economic
residents
Development
of
Subcommittee
issues pertaining to
for
housing and
a
eviction.
discussion
Council Nguyen,
that will be
Haji Rivera,
entirely
and
nebulous and lacking of any
Yes, thank
policy
you, Mr.
specifics or
Chairman.
proposals.
So for
and
most of
wasting
January,
time.
I've been really glad that our city council has been, tackling our housing crisis and really thinking about how we can support our residents. I would say in parallel to our efforts, I would like to see us increase our housing education, especially, around know your rights and resources. We've been hearing
I would
that
love
there
to
are
see that
resources, but people aren't actually accessing them.
Yes.
And so I think that means that we have to go into our communities as well as on the ground. We've been hearing that people might not understand the eviction legal protocol and the process. And so sometimes they are illegally evicted, or as Councilor Haji mentioned, just feeling intimidated and not knowing how to get support. And so I think we have an opportunity now with all the work that we're doing, and hopefully with more resources and solutions, that we start, building a foundation for our housing education and community engagement, especially multiple languages.
Thank you, Councilor. So we'll send that to the administration. Roll call, probably do so, Councilor Rose.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to sign on to this order, and I appreciate Councilor Wynn bringing this forward. Thank you.
Okay, we got everybody. Okay, everyone wants to sign on, and Councilor Rivera, you just want to sign on too. Councilor King, Councilor Rivera, you were next.
I'm already signed on. I just wanted to mention, Mr. Chairman, that this is one of the reasons I think it's really important. So I know that some of the cultural brokers that work, I mean, we're on this call every Thursday with Worcester Together, and this has been an ongoing issue. And I know that some of the cultural brokers, the Worcester Interfaith, have been working, doing some of this and doing some outreach. So I think it would be beneficial to maybe look at doing, connecting with them and seeing how they're doing. But really, that has been really helpful to really get information out to people, because a lot of times they're completely.
I think she needs to bring it to the professor so it hatches into one of those legendary Pokemon.
So forth. So there is.
That's why she's in a different country every meeting. She's just walking that egg
I
around.
really appreciate Councilor Nugent's order. Leadership on this, because I think it really, the more we can educate community, the better off we will be. So we're intervening before we get to a full-on crisis, on an individual basis. I mean, because right now we are dealing with a housing crisis, but what I'm talking about is people individual. And I think a lot of times they're just at a complete loss as to what they know what to do. And I think getting that information. So I know that one of the things that cultural brokers were doing were actually door knocking, when they were giving out packages of PPEs that had masks and sanitations and information on COVID testing. Part of what they had in there was a brochure on Know Your Rights regarding eviction and eviction prevention. So I think that looking at some of that work that's being done right now in the city and enhancing on that would be really helpful.
Okay, thank you. Councilor King, want to sign on?
Yeah, I'd like to sign on.
Okay, and Councilor Toomey and Russell, you want us to sign on too? Or?
Yes, I want to sign on, but I do have a comment, maybe a separate order or an amendment. But I think it's really important that we do have a lot of community agencies that do provide this information, et cetera. I know Worcester Community
I don't know what's
Action
happening with the
Council
captions.
really
They got really
has a
far
great
behind.
resource, tool for folks. But again, I think it would be important, and I support Councilor Mien, and making sure perhaps that we have a help page with an index of issues and concerns. I know that all of our city websites have information on different aspects of assistance in the city. I know the Department of Public Works has a number of helpful hints and issues like that. So perhaps we could have an indexed page of helpful information. I know the police department has safety tips, the same thing with the fire.
All right, we're going to lose this for just a second.
Kate's solution to every problem is a web page. That basically is the solution to everything. It's like someone is existing in 2002, just found the internet, a little bit later than everybody else, but still just found it. And this is the coolest thing ever. If we can just get a web page for everything, all the problems will be solved.
There's this thing. It's called a web page, and you can put it all sorts of information on there, and people can read the information.
Housing. Just want to make sure that we also kind of educate those folks who are at risk for.
Have you guys heard of LiveJournal?
I think that might have fixed it.
With the rising costs of life. So
yeah. So I think everybody wants to sign on. So good order, and then so amend that everybody sign on. Councilor Toomey's order, and also Councilor King's amendment. Take them collectively. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor GA?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Council Nguyen,
Yes.
Council Rivera,
Yes.
And it's
Council
broken
Rose,
again.
Yes.
and Russell.
Yes.
Yes, Main South
Toomey.
Mon.
Yes.
Mayor Petty.
Yes. 9G, request demand for guidance
Candy.
council feasibility.
Candy.
of
Candy,
implementing
that's
additional
not.
warming
You can't
centers
say that, Candy.
Can't say that,
and cooling
Candy.
centers throughout the city. Councilor Nguyen, IGI, Rivera, Merrill Carlson.
Yeah.
Councilor Nguyen.
Yeah, so I know we're all experiencing, how cold this winter is, especially with the snowstorms. And also with climate change, I imagine we'll be facing a lot more harsher weather. And so, I request these to really expand on where we have warming and cooling centers. I was really grateful to see that the Worcester Public School and the YWCA had warming centers during those freezing days. And I would like to see that throughout the whole entire city, knowing that people need it everywhere, especially our homeless population, to have a safe, dignified space. And I would also, hope that this creates, structures for the years to come, for our winters and our summers, and that we shift the culture and stereotypes and stigma of our homeless populations to really have a space for them. And so I would like to see us just see it throughout the city.
Okay, so 9G, prior to doing so, we have Council IGI, Council King, and Council Rose. Council Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Council Nguyen, for putting this order. Obviously, both orders that Council Nguyen put in are interconnected. One thing that I noticed during the pandemic is that we were scrambling, a few providers that have met for over a year right now, scrambling to find appropriate cooling and warming centers for our unhoused population. And what I would ask is that as we're having these conversations, that we make this part of our ongoing planning, because like Councilor Nguyen mentioned, climate change is not going to be gentle on our most vulnerable populations, including seniors and elderly and those with pulmonary diseases that are going to need access. So I appreciate this order, and I hope we continue to have some more conversations around how do we make this an equitable and permanent feature of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. We have
That's one of them, Jess.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to sign on to this. I appreciate the energy with which this was brought. Appreciate the leadership of Council Nguyen. I wanted to just say, something I've spoken previously about is really
that would be awesome if they were.
How we get to a point as a city as relates to sharing public spaces with all members of our community. We have some challenges with folks who are unsheltered and unhoused as it relates to a lot of things, businesses, mental health, concerns about, sometimes running afoul of the law, but it's really a resource issue for me. But we need to.
Is it any Main South, Mom?
For all of our community members, and I'm hoping that as
I'm guessing the people that are signing on,
we can start having strategic,
definitely
and structural dialogue about exactly that. And really looking forward to hearing from our outreach workers in Health and Human Services. And those folks have been onboarded. We've added social workers. I think we should add more social workers. I'll continue to advocate for that. But look forward to how we move our culture here in the city of Worcester to be more inclusive. Because if we're talking about, warming places,
Bryan, I think you're on something.
And cooling spaces.
Your death has made you wiser.
We have to come together as a community as it relates to how that works on a day-to-day basis, and it's going to requiring the sharing of public spaces. Mr. Chairman, happy to sign on.
Okay, thank you. We have Councilor Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to sign on. I think that this is a terrific order, and I love the idea of being able to engage these folks at these stations with potential resources and insights.
That's Councilor Rose to wear a mask.
Appreciate signing on. Appreciate this coming to the floor. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Councilor Rivera.
Yes. So this is one of those things that that has come before council in the past. I know that.
Oh, I like just
especially
telling
public
on him.
health, we've talked about.
Yeah,
this,
right.
and
Knocking them
brought this
out
forward.
big time.
This is actually work.
Baby, I'm dead.
I know that things that have been being done at the library have been really helpful. So I was really excited to have this order back on council, have it moving forward, because it's a conversation we really need to continue to have. And it's, like Council Haji says, I think that both orders that Council Nugent brought forward really intersect, and I think it's really important. It really is a public safety, a public health issue. And as we look and we see, whether it's like, we're obviously right now, we feel like we're so far from the heat, but both the cold, and we talk about this in the summer as well, cooling centers, we know that when it gets extremely hot,
I cannot keep focused on what she's saying.
Yeah.
Imagine a sermon.
People to be able to go and be part of is really, really important. So I'm happy to be
I do also, and this is not a knock on her. I think it's great. I love when she says Tu's name and she says New Jen because of her.
To the manager. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Caloria?
Yes.
Councilor GA?
The same as the old Jen.
Yes.
Brian, you're even funnier dead.
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Bros?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Oh, I
Mayor Petty.
just got an email that I'm going to have to go in front of the Citizen Advisory
Request
Council.
the manager and its administration work with the leadership of the Worcester Housing Authority.
What did you apply for?
The possibility of building the
Affordable
first
housing
affordable
and,
development since
tree commission.
1992. Petty
Nice.
Rose, Russell, Merrill Carlson, Haji I
applied for cable.
Hell yeah.
As we can see tonight, even from the city
So
council,
Jenny's going to have to
there's nothing
criticize
more
both of
important
us.
than addressing the housing needs of the city of Worcester. As mayor, I think that's
Jenny said she was going to try to be here
that's a
tonight.
very important issue.
Yeah,
an issue
yeah,
I'm willing
right.
to address
She's
as we move forward.
she's got a lot of. She's going
Look at the
to school
housing
too
needs
right now.
of the housing authority. You think about for 1 second, they have like a 20,000 person waiting list when it comes between whether it be just assistance or housing itself.
Man, I love Petty's running for state
that's a
senate,
huge
so now
gap.
he's like super liberal.
Yeah, right.
City council, the gentleman has been talking about. They listen to the
Hey,
community.
can I talk about abortions? I know we're talking about housing rights right now. Can I talk about abortions real quick?
We're going to take Holy Cross eminent domain.
The state manager has put $30 million away.
And I mean, like, more rights to broads.
So it's important that we implement a policy for affordable housing here in the city of Worcester. It's been 30 years since the last project. 30 years. That was the John Curran up on Providence Street, and this is the time to do it. We have great leadership over the Housing Authority with Alex Corrales, who's the executive director, who's worked with the manager in the past. Joe Carlson as the chair of that of the Housing Authority. So this is the time to do it. While we have the good leadership here on our side and their side.
He helped us out with power.
And I just think it's important. They came out with a nice press release today. Last week they voted at the Worcester Housing Authority to renovate and also expand the Curtis Street apartments up in the city of Worcester with a huge investment.
Yeah, like Curtis Street apartments, but he said it's read as courtesy departments.
I think this is going to be a good for the city of Worcester with the Worcester Housing Authority as our partners.
Yeah, Great Brook Valley's getting $178 million revamp.
Council Merrill Carlson. Oh, I'm sorry. Council Merrill Carlson, followed by Council Polario. Who's that? Was that you? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, was very happy to sign on to this. And as you stated, I mean, this council has been talking about housing for the last few years. And we heard tonight, I mean, as we talked
We just
about,
learned that people are not being treated fairly.
I think Councilor Haji has talked over and over again is it's really
Ad nauseum, kind of annoying.
You know that
It's been 3 weeks with her. Jesus Christ, Candy.
Certainly that's where the affordability is. I think that is great, and I think that the timing is perfect. I think that the leadership is certainly there at the Housing Authority, and as you spoke, I mean, about the $178 million renovation for Curtis, and hopefully that gives some new additional apartments online for the people here in the city of Worcester. So I know that you were there as well as
yeah, she's got to come original.
Senator Ed Markey came in and we talked, and the Housing Authority talked to him.
No, that's just
and then we talked, and then she talked.
And there are monies that are there from the federal government as well as the state government. So I think that this item.
She's slowing down so we can make fun of her. I feel like that's the.
Look forward to hopefully building many.
When people say as much as she does, that's all I start focusing on.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Main South Mom. Also, yes, 100%.
I think you might be on mute.
Okay, thank you. I have just a couple of questions to the city manager. City manager, I am under the impression, and I could be wrong, but just if you can please just correct me, that there is no real big parcel of land available for a large-scale housing development in the city right now.
How about where you live?
Mr. Manager?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think land is getting more scarce, to be honest with you, but there are still some tracts of.
Okay, sorry, you froze. Yeah, you froze. I couldn't hear you.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're frozen.
He's calling in from vacation.
He just listed out the neighborhoods that are already. We're getting ready to light their torches.
We watched, Mr. Manager.
He did it on
I know
purpose.
that the Housing Authority itself has land. Council, not to speak for the manager until he comes back on, but the Housing Authority does have land for a major project too.
How about some of the abandoned gas stations?
Pre-existing buildings on that land that they would do expansions. Is that what we're looking at, or are we looking at land there's no building on whatsoever?
I think of both, really. I would guess.
Okay, I wasn't.
First, I know. I've been thinking about this a lot, Main South Mom.
Okay, I apologize. There are tracts of land still available in this.
Fucking shit. This is the only part of the meeting that's actually interesting.
We lost you.
Oh, boy.
We lost you, Ed. That feels like
weak connection.
We should hit up Charter about this.
Nico's gonna get fired for saying that Ed has a weak connection.
Okay, so if he comes back on, that's great. But I'll just go over a little bit of my concerns. My concern was that from what I understood, there's very little land available to do
Shut up, Donna. Shut up, Donna. Shut up, Donna.
Scale housing project. And also, too, is I've got some calls this week from some of the my constituents and wanted to know where
from Republican PACs
being, where was it going to be? You know, I know we did a lot of work when Lewis Street came in. We had a lot of issues. It was a small project, but there was a lot of people that needed to voice their concern and their questions. So I know
they're just people
going to move forward with a large scale.
Whoever's moving in is just a person.
Come on, man.
A concern for wherever the project would be.
Her angle is absolutely that we should not build more housing.
Building
100%.
Had so many beds or units, and it was going to be expansion. I think that would be.
If we build more low-income housing, we're going to have more low-income housing people, guys. Do that what you want?
Maybe a little bit easier.
Yeah.
To develop.
Yes, that's exactly what we want.
Yes, Donna, we do.
Hearing where this goes, because right now this is very vague. It's the intent is there. We've discussed it, like my colleague said, we've been discussing this for a long time. It's a real issue that Worcester is going through a period where rents are going higher, but taxes are going higher. Everything is going higher. So there will be a percentage of people that will be priced out of our city and will no longer be able to live here. And
that to me is concerning because I know a lot of people have retired here and would like to stay here. So it will be interesting to see where this goes. And I just wanted to just ask a few questions.
What a weird.
I'm sure I can get those in later on. Thank you.
What a weird ending. It's interesting to see how this goes. Shut up.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, I'm incredibly excited for this project to increase our housing affordability, especially for our seniors, who are one of the populations actually that we are seeing get caught in the housing market crisis. I would say that we do need to educate all of our residents around the benefits of having affordable housing projects in all parts of our city. We shouldn't be afraid of having those conversations. We should be able to expand the understanding of what and who
Yes, that was part of her
housing
complaint.
is serving. And so while I understand that in the past, including the Lewis Street projects, there was a lot of misconceptions about what it was, who it served. Similarly with the project that's in my district, up on Stafford Street, I think that when we have conversations with our neighbors to educate them on the benefits of having affordable housing for all in all areas of our city, we only do our city benefit. We shouldn't be segregating affordable housing to just one part of the city. That's the beauty of Worcester. It welcomes people of all backgrounds, of all socioeconomic categories and brackets, and we should continue that conversation.
Except on Southbury Street.
Thank you.
That's my counselor.
King and Councilor
I gotta say,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to.
it's refreshing. The city council is refreshing having
as well.
certain people now
you for
on
your leadership
in the
on
meeting.
this, and it sounds like
Whether things happen or not, it's just refreshing to hear
for
things.
quite
You know what I
some
mean?
time. But to see it in black and white is great. You know, I wanted to echo what I heard just stated, that while large scale affordable housing developments will be helpful, it's important that we as a city understand the importance and the impact of folks who will be living there in a stable home. Because what the research shows is that affordable housing
Oh no!
just improves education. It improves our cultural life. It improves the prospects.
Travis, you
of
should
our
reach
entire
out to the city and see if we can host the meetings for them.
disappointing.
It would make things easier for everybody.
We have this exciting.
I would
order,
love a cheeky email from
exciting
us saying that.
potentiality,
That would be very
that we're
fun.
already having.
Your
Don't
feed
put it
sucks.
here
Ours is awesome. Come on
mantra
over.
Suggested. You know, and I know over the years we've had.
Could we still comment during the middle of their meeting?
You just interrupt them while they're talking. They'll get used to it.
And I hope that we as elected officials inform rather than infuse, you know, the
Sean's always wanted to be Statler and Waldorf.
high-tempered
It's true.
responses from some of our neighborhoods. So I happy to see this moving forward. I'd like to see more housing developments, perhaps on smaller scale throughout the city. Additionally, thank you.
Okay. Councilor Rose, followed by Councilor Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for putting this on. You know, I think that come back with this current council, that it's very, very much a priority of all of us to increase our housing stock and to provide resources.
Most of you.
I wouldn't say all of us.
Yeah. There was one who just spoke.
Ed, you back on?
Mr. Mayor, the mayor just calling in via phone. I think there was just on you next.
Oh my God.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, first time, long time.
Chairman, I mean, I guess all I'm trying to say is that I'm really open to this happening anywhere there's a true need. It's been a priority of most of us on this council to figure out what we can do in terms of increasing our housing stock and providing resources to folks who are struggling. I'm particularly interested in seeing Grape Valley looked at, given
Grape Valley.
Yeah.
Highway access.
We love it.
We have the new Curtis renovation happening where you're going to have.
I got to go back and screenshot that.
Affordable housing and workforce development and so on. We have the Tacoma Street Playground happening there, the new Empowerment Center and library. So just selfishly, if the Housing Authority could peek over there, that'd be a great space for us. So thank you for putting this on. I just wanted to advocate on behalf.
It's going to be its
of that,
own
given
city
the
after
amount
this,
of
huh?
land and space
Pretty great.
over in that area of the city. If there's anything that we could do, given all the resources that we're pushing into there and the recently
Great.
Curtis, it would be a great addition. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I definitely appreciate this order and your leadership on this order. My only concern would be that,
Sean Rose is like, I love affordable housing as long as it's not D1.
you know, when we
I love nothing more than a good NIMBY rumor because I like watching angry people get angry. Does anyone know what has happened to the old St. Peter's property in Sean's district? I think that was getting looked at for housing.
It's old folks.
It is already okay.
Yeah.
Integration. One of the things that we've seen is how a lot of times this issue of like segregating people versus class, the stigma that goes along with affordable housing. And definitely, I think that because of the housing crunch, I think the conversation of understanding affordable housing is very different now, but for so long it carried this level of stigma. And also, unfortunately, for a long time, many of these pockets of large areas of units of affordable housing were very segregated. Also,
I was just thinking that.
If you had
she means well. It's just she's so bad at saying it.
She starts a thought, but she doesn't know where she's going to end. She figures she's going to find her way.
It's me talking in philosophy class freshman year of college.
Again,
The cave, it's a cave, but it's more than just a cave. And let me go more into it now when I talk about the cave.
Different abilities together. When we look at
Panopticon is a prison, and that's not really a good thing to have society be oriented as a prison.
I am for affordable housing, but what I'm not, what I want us to be very, very careful is that we do not continue to contribute to the form of
no bars on the cage, baby.
We tend to, in cities and in urban communities, we tend to have segregation of class and race, and that's something that's very clear. And when you look at certain areas of the district, and I know that my colleague, especially District 2 City Council, will definitely agree, also looking at certain areas that get saturated with different social service agencies, and I'm 100% for. I'm I'm a clinical social worker, I'm a pastor. I'm all for it, and I'm not saying.
So while we're all waiting on Sarai, Bill, who on the council isn't going to run for mayor?
We're the heart of the Commonwealth, and
have it on pretty good faith that Christian will run.
It's the heartbeat for all people.
And I bet.
And what we've seen is
I don't think Kitchen is going to run. I really don't.
Mentality, right? We see that even.
I think she knows she can't hack it.
Was moving up,
but she would very easily win if she ran.
Yeah, you have way more faith in humanity than I do. It's just shocking. But
there, that was DTA office, right?
Yeah, Bergman
I disagree with the location.
Hey, I agree.
Access, not anything else. We saw, and we've seen that for a number of different reasons. We can go down the list.
I guess is not the being groomed for command guy we thought he was.
Yeah, certain areas of our community and the city to just be clumped.
Intel won't run for mayor.
The bad side, this is the poor side, this is where these services are needed, this is what these, and the reality is if we're really a city, then there shouldn't be an issue.
Dude, she's still talking. Holy shit.
I mean, there was it was very disheartening.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be Christian King.
And
maybe Candy.
Out, a certain area, an organization like Ace Project Worcester that has been around since the 80s.
Exactly, Matt.
And again,
I really, really hope it's not Kate Toomey. Holy shit.
She'll run. She'll run.
Fuck.
She's been waiting for it.
Oh fuck.
And Donna definitely does.
a lot of times.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the conservative playbook, is you have to run for mayor to get on the council.
Want to be
Yeah.
careful to not continue to contribute to a form of segregation, but understand
Kate, you're lying.
how integration and how much we can really learn from one another, live collectively, and share space in the city. And
Yeah, you're right, Troubler.
From the south side, I'm from the east side, I'm from the west side, and that this could be.
I just don't want to believe that Kate's going to run.
Of course.
Because she's just apolitical and stupid. And what would her mayoral campaign be? Like, I'm apolitical and stupid? Like, what's her vision for the city?
I'm pro-union, pro-cop.
Yeah, I know, but
that goes along with that.
I mean, I get that, the mayor is just the number one cheerleader for the city, and you don't really need to be some like insanely good politician to do it. But Kate Toomey is just insulting. I mean,
I know.
Dumb, so dumb.
But I mean, she thinks she's a part of this renaissance. She thinks that like her being on the council has helped the city rise to where it is, and she'll say that.
Yeah, and that's like insane because she hasn't proposed to do anything.
No.
Besides, make sure that the cops get what they want.
Yeah,
and that's unfortunately, that's a path to political victory in Worcester, as in with any smaller mid-sized city.
Or New York.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that when we talk about
if Kate wins, though, she has to get paid in Bitcoin, just like Eric Adams.
Imagine Kate Toomey doing the Eric Adams videos.
I want to see her. I want to see her wearing a helmet, riding a bicycle.
We're out here in Worcester, number one city in the world, baby. And we're going to be bringing all the victories home for all the people in Worcester.
One group that hasn't been
no more L's.
Eric Adams. Plant-based diet, Bitcoin payments.
I think everyone in Worcester should have their own Squarespace account. If you make a web page, then you can let people know what you're doing. And if everyone knows what everyone's doing, we'll all know a little bit more about each other.
It's Worcester's metaverse.
Yeah, a Squarespace login. Kate Toomey proposes Worcester's metaverse on Squarespace. Everyone gets a Squarespace login. You can have your own website. You can customize it, different pages with different sorts of information.
To include them in our discussions.
Thank you. So let's send that to the
Councilor Bergman.
The Toomeyverse.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Carlson. Councilor Meehan.
Yes.
Kate Toomey does a how-to video on how to best slaughter rats. Now, you might think it's cruel to throw them in a bucket of water, but it often is the best way to kill a rat.
I like calling them mousicles. Check out my mousicle koozies that I've made on my Metaverse. It's made with ARPA funds.
We're dedicating a portion of our ARPA fund to unveil the local Worcester Metaverse.
The next best period of time would be before.
Oh boy, this program is sponsored to you by Craft Tea Kombucha, Worcester's local culture, and Worcester's other brewery. And you can buy Craft Tea Kombucha on the brand new Metaverse. We're launching on Squarespace.
Of an eviction is these days because of COVID is Zoom.
I want the
after that it's a hearing.
The Zuckerberg video in the Metaverse, but it's Bergman. He's been like, "Oh hey, let's go to a concert."
This is where you can buy Metaverse cocaine from a Metaverse police officer.
We certainly approve constable service. We vote on that.
Over here is where you get the Metaverse police officer out of the Metaverse domestic violence.
There is information available at the courthouse I know that. But the problem is most people don't get to the courthouse because of the Zoom hearings until the last stage when it's too late, oftentimes, to avoid the eviction. So I just think these types of steps, I know some of my colleagues have mentioned other things tonight, and I'm sure there'll be other suggestions coming along. But I think these types of steps certainly educate people. I think it was an eye-opener for me, and perhaps some of my colleagues as well, that 2/3 of the funds available to try to resolve these landlord-tenant disputes haven't been used yet. And so certainly there's some issue with getting that information out. And my suggestions tonight are an attempt to address those issues. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So he just wants to use constables as heavies?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor GA?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
The metaverse police officers know where the crime's gonna come from.
Yes.
And they'll get there right away.
Russell?
I am the metaverse, and you are too.
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes. Next on request manager, request Assistant Commissioner of Public Works and Parks work with representatives from the YMCA, YWCA Girls Inc. and the city colleges to offer lifeguard classes during the week of April vacation, as well as the last 2 weeks in June after the Worcester Public School students are out for summer vacation. Further request city manager consider scholarships and/or stipends for said classes. Further request city manager advertise for said classes at the city colleges and for their
unveil the metaverse
teams, as well as our WPS swim.
Go swimming in the metaverse. Drown on Bell Hill in the metaverse.
Last year, we saw a shortage of lifeguards that impacted our ability to recreate.
Sean wants more lifeguards to get bullied by guys who are told they can't drink at Bell Hill.
Yeah, right.
For us to have an organic approach to recruiting,
we have more
lifeguards to our Worcester Public Schools and local
we have more
colleges.
lifeguards. That's more lifeguards that could get stabbed.
I refer
that poor kid.
I know, right?
These lifeguard courses can also be costly, but typical courses.
But also, if I'm a lifeguard,
$300 and $350,
there's no rules, right?
Any
I am not knocking on anybody.
More interest. Again, the proactive order in hopes that we can get.
Yeah, it's not the beachcomber, but what if it was?
Make sure that it's open and accessible and available to residents come summertime. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor King, you want to sign on to that?
We'll sign on. It's a great order.
Okay, so everyone, I think everybody wants to sign on.
Yes, in a good order.
So amend that to everybody sign on to send it to the manager collectively. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor GA?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Merrill Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes. Request the manager work in conjunction with the Department of Youth Opportunities to host a listening session with the Standing Committee on Public Health and Human Services to hear and learn what resources the city youths need to support themselves around the mental health and societal challenges they face as a result of the pandemic.
Joe Petty voodoo doll.
Councilor Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last week, we discussed at length through the presentation that was
Hey,
offered.
I love this guy.
And we saw the
he's
concerns
from, like,
and
Ukraine.
negative impacts that
Yeah.
COVID has had on our city.
But that's not how you spell his name.
Expressed
It's
concern over the impact of COVID on.
Wait, Jess, are you saying you want FSU to be the lifeguards? That's a slippery slope right there.
Two-step in the shallow end.
We all know Ralph's starting to use them as security, right, Bill?
You let him in. You can't get him out.
As a parent of a father,
there's already a call in my head now just for saying their name on Twitch.
Like I have the best answers, a solution for our kiddos.
Those are the guys that threw my
think
son
that
out
this is
of
the
an
time
outdoor
for that.
show
I think
with
that
you
we
guys
need
once. Do
to,
you remember that?
not fall into the
I think
trap
so,
of
yes.
That was a bunch of years ago. But yeah, I mean,
right now, and I think that
I think Oliver was like 10. He got thrown out of Ralph's. That was amazing.
Health officials and others
Shouldn't have punched that guy.
Resources and support makes a lot of sense, so that we can respond accordingly to meet their ongoing needs. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Amen,
Send
Jess.
that to the
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Councilor Rivera.
Yeah, I was supposed to be signed on to this order.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Include Councilor Rivera, and Councilor King, Councilor Nguyen, and Councilor Attell, and
Mr. Chairman.
yeah, Councilor King.
Yeah, I'd like to sign on this as well, and just reiterate, as I stated last week, that the increase that we've seen.
This is
in
a no-brainer,
media,
right?
Using technology, the isolation, that was created out of this pandemic, has really exacerbated these issues.
Matt, I'm not allowed by contract to say what I'm drinking. I apologize. I'll tell you later.
To this, I would also like to have the mayor's task force perhaps be involved with this as well. I know that this group here that Councilor is referring to, the youth opportunities, is perfect. But I know that the mayor's mental health folks, the various groups, there's a bunch, 4 or 5 different groups that they're working on some of this as well. So might make sense to onboard them. This is going to go a long way, and we really don't know the impacts that this.
Doesn't Chris feel like way less stressed?
As elected officials,
I feel like leading up before he had some backup and meetings. He was like very measured. Like he's smiling. This was not him. Just a couple months ago.
Sign on, Councilor Toomey. You want to sign on? Sign on. I'm sorry. Okay, Councilor Nguyen, you want to sign on too?
Yes, I would also like to speak. I'm really grateful for this order. I think it's important that we allow young folks to be decision makers in their life. And so I'm really grateful for them having a listening session and that they lead the solutions to their needs. I would also ask that we consider stipending our young folks as they, create these kind of solutions, that they get some sort of incentives.
Okay. Very good. So we'll send that to the manager as amended. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Caloria?
Yes.
Councilor G.A.?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes. We have 9I, request the manager request the Commissioner of Public Works and Parks to support the potential to having Drummond Street at the intersection of Drummond and Grove be a right turn only. Councilor Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This continues to be one of the most concerning intersections in the district.
Yes.
I think it has been for many, many years and a long, long time. I understand that the state plays a role as this is considered a state highway in this particular area.
Hello, decent hombre.
Just trying to think creatively about how to make this intersection safer. I know Councilor Calorio and I and Councilor Bergman.
Decent hombre, welcome, join us.
Yes, it is New England.
It's
Worcester.
Committee last year, and
the Worcestery Council is in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Suggestions in this suggestion.
Decent hombre, where are you from?
To make this area safer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so send that to
Decent hombre, that sounds like a pretty swell guy to me.
Maybe include even Chester Street to take a look at. See what
Chicago.
Chicago.
Oh, yeah, welcome. This is, more corrupt politicians.
Yeah.
You'll fit right in.
A lot of Irish.
Yes.
So GA?
A lot of Irish. A lot of long-held power going unquestioned. The police do what they want.
Yes.
And we neglect whole neighborhoods. So a lot like Chicago.
Yes.
Just smaller, dumber.
Yes, request the manager, request the Commissioner of Public Works and Parks.
Oh my God, it says Mayor Putty.
Intersection of Park Ave and Chadwick Street, Councilor Rose.
This is an intersection that I feel like lately I've seen more foot traffic on, and it's kind of concerning given the speed and kind of the location of the intersection. So just trying to get a sense of how we could make it a bit safer.
It's because of WPI and that burger joint and Ralph's.
GA?
Yeah, hell yeah. All of these people are corrupt. Yeah. I will say that.
Yes.
I may not know how exactly, but I know it in my heart.
Yes. Mr. Russell? Yes. Mr. Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes. 9N, request the manager to consider applying for a shared streets grant program by March 1st, which provides money
You're
for
right, but I could
municipalities
know in the future.
to quickly implement improvements to plazas, sidewalks,
I'm not
curbs,
going to tell
streets,
you.
bus stops, parking
decent
areas, and
Andre.
other public spaces in support of public health.
Yeah, can you
state
just be
mobility,
decent for a second?
Come on.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm
Chair.
going to blow my load on the
In
stream.
January, the DOT changed its approach to.
That was gross.
That's not this kind of stream.
And also
Not
launched
yet.
their Safe Speeds website.
You can find the link to his OnlyFans in the bio.
Assistance on taking care of some of the issues that we have. As we know, some of our major
Well. Let me tell you.
by the DOT
Have you heard?
have been the scenes of
No,
many,
not
many,
George McGovern, the worst one.
accidents. And so the grant
Yeah, George McGovern
that's
did one.
available to assist us in creating some
No, we have Jim
enhancements
McGovern.
that
Don't
will
blame
protect,
us.
Jim McGovern is
not only pedestrians but also
I got to hang
strong
out with
as
George McGovern because
tonight,
of Jim McGovern, which is kind of rad.
requesting some assistance
Really?
in some of these
Yeah,
other streets
brought him to Worcester once.
as well. So
A couple years before he
you know,
passed
one
away.
of the things that we
Oh,
talked
that's
about
cool.
years ago was reducing speed limit.
Both comments,
basically
both.
says that, for every mile an hour that increases the person driving.
Decent Ombre, come move to Worcester. At least come on sometime. Come on out to Worcester sometime.
A lot of different
I will buy. I'll buy a
opportunities that we can
Greyhound
look at,
ticket for you.
to try to minimize.
I'm sure we could
future
pool
accidents.
money
So,
with all of our listeners to get Decent
I look
Ombre into
forward to,
Worcester.
hearing positive results from this.
Okay,
Thank you.
send that to the manager.
Mr. Nombre, I'll pay you in
Bergman?
Yes.
an untraceable currency to come here and do something about our Kate Toomey problem.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
You've been to Boston,
Yes.
Vermont.
Councilor
That's
Rivera?
great.
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
I haven't been to Boston,
Yes.
Vermont.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Burlington's quite nice. Though.
Yes. Next
Burlington
item
is
request
nice.
manager, request police chief provide counsel with the status report concerning the progresses made relative to the homeless population in the Upper Lincoln Street area, including information concerning.
Of course, Candy's asking about this.
I need to hear what they say about
Yes,
this.
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Chairman. Through you to the city manager, just really wanted for the administration to share to this point what's been done. I know that there's been a tremendous amount of progress that's been made up there in the Lincoln Street area.
Define progress, Candy.
On the
Yeah.
D2 side. So I just thought that it would be really advantageous for us to know about the progress that we've made. And I know that for the homeless population
100%.
up there, we've also seen some progress there, as well as in the
I love the
plaza
homeless
on
population.
the Target
Yeah.
side, as well as
Right.
TJ
What a
Maxx
term.
and Stop and Shop, and Oriole
It's its own
Drive,
city,
which
the homeless
I know
population.
has been a real issue for us as a city, but over the last couple of months, the folks who manage that hotel, I know we've had meetings that I've been in with the manager and the folks at the hotel. They've done some good
Yeah,
work
it's a
up
decently
there
big problem.
to make it much better for the residents who are there. So
It's big by local standards, but compared to
just
probably like
thought
Chicago and
to
any other big city, it's
share to the manager.
probably
It
not even
would be
existent.
great if we could get something back.
Thank you, Jess.
From the police chief and from Evis and folks to really talk about what has been done up there, because there's been an awful lot done.
What do you
up there.
want done, Candy?
Yeah, that's what she was gonna say.
Quickly on that.
You want a bulldozer? Like, what do you want?
Yeah, that would be terrific. Thank you.
Okay, Council.
In my ears, I heard her just to answer your question. Do you want a
Yes, Mr.
bulldozer? That would be
Manager,
terrific.
Ms. Mayor.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to either as an amendment or as a separate order, request information on the status of shopping carts up at that hotel as well. I know I've called several times because of the incredible amount of shopping carts, and I know we have a shopping cart
Kate.
ordinance.
Fuck
and
off,
I think,
Kate.
we really need to,
Kate. I need more shopping carts for my Etsy.
That we have.
We should have an executive level commission, a commission on the status of shopping carts.
The dumping in that area. I think there might need to be a camera because I can't imagine that they're getting that much trash from.
You could have a web page where people can report shopping carts that are where the shopping carts are supposed to be.
See, my problem is there's not enough shopping carts because people want to fill their carts with my Etsy, but they can't. There's not enough carts. They're all in that area.
Work with the
just the dark irony here, having talked for the entire meeting about housing, is now just like, can we get rid of these subhumans up here with the shopping carts?
Have really gone up there often and trying to work with them, but they really need.
It's like they ignored the first half of this meeting.
The shopping carts as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor King. So
yeah, I want to sign on, and I think Councilor Merrill Carlson mentioned some of the other stakeholders and all this outside of the police department. She definitely stated that. I just want to make sure, by the way of a friendly amendment, that we also
we don't have a unhoused people, decent hombre.
Friendly amendments, guys.
Dr. Castillo's folks there, that's separate from the police response. And also would delineate and identify, what services they were successfully referred to and things of that nature. Thank you.
Okay. So, Councilor Rose.
I'd just like to sign on, Mr. Chairman. This is Borders District 1, and we've done a lot of work down there collectively. Council Carlson has done a lot of work down there as well.
Oh,
so
yes,
nice
absolutely.
Report.
Yes,
I can
hombre.
And around
you're catching on quick.
And supporting the businesses there as well.
K2Me does.
I welcome this report, and I think we're going to see some positive strides happening.
Also, Paul, thank you very much for the Cartnarks recommendation. This is fantastic.
Those guys are great.
So we will
really annoying. I mean,
order. Then
of course,
don't give it that much time, but it is fantastic.
Councilor Toomey, taken collectively. Roll
call. If I was king for a day in Worcester, I'd raise it to the ground.
Caloria.
First thing, round up all of the carts.
Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Mr. Russell.
Yes.
Mr. Toomey.
I'd probably just burn it all down.
Yes. Request the manager request the Commissioner of Public Health and Human Services organize one information session each of the city's districts to discuss community health improvement, the CHIP, and racial and ethnic approaches to
no, that's my policy.
Project in the city's residence.
Widespread arson.
I know that COVID has kind of deterred this, but I believe that this going to be getting done throughout.
Yeah, we're not running.
Yeah, I do certainly watch the same complaint.
There's so much
that's the point of the stream. Yeah,
good work.
You're really figuring out things out quickly, decent hombre.
With the CHIP and
you're pretty decent at this, hombre.
And I think that a lot of times it's so much
people
really
like you, decent hombre. You're the purpose of the
stream. The CHIP that started in 2015 to where we are now. To be honest, we would have been where we are right now, handling the pandemic, had we not been looking at certain things that public health was already working on. I give this department a lot of credit for constantly thinking.
What would you like?
What would you like? What do you want from us?
Reason why they're accredited. But all this work, community work that's happening, work with community partners,
Larry and curlying.
Health partners. I think it's
that's
really
how I would also
important.
describe what we're doing.
The more we know,
why Ayana?
Integrated. It has a lot of moving parts, and I think it's the service not being able to have all this information as much as we can.
I'm so sorry, decent hombre, that we're failing to meet your threshold for actual political discourse. It really breaks my heart. It really does. But I mean, earlier I did offer my political position that I want to raise the city to the ground. So
every committee,
I think that's politics.
Meetings, trying to do several committee meetings where we're just focusing on one of and who those health and community partners are, and really talking about the work that has been done, what has been done.
Leave me alone.
There's a lot of
That's the most
conversation now
annoying comment I have gotten
that actually,
in the history of doing this stream.
regarding health
And you know what? I am a boomer because I don't know how to do it any differently. But I did blind copy. Is that better? Is that okay that I did that?
But council before that were.
I mean, it is technically politics. This is a political city council meeting, decent hombre. I don't know why you're arguing semantics with us right now.
This is local politics.
It's a very common conversation.
Indecent hombre.
Yeah, you're turning on us fast, dude.
No, trouble. I blind copied, I think.
So thank God that we were, we pressed through.
What the hell are we talking about now?
Because, like I said,
Bill, some of the orders for these T-shirts.
No, I meant Sarai. No, I get the T-shirt. I can follow along with that. That makes perfect sense to me.
I can't even bother to pay attention to what Sarai's saying right now. She's talking about chip and reach, and I know. Like,
she's talking about putting underpasses, making the underpasses
amazing. And I think the more we can get out there and get this information out and get community engaged.
We've already moved on to Q.
Definitely, this
Indecent hombre.
To make sure that we are growing to be
Did it hurt?
A healthy city in many ways.
Busting.
Thank you. Send that to the manager. Roll call. People want to sign up? Merle Carlson, you want to speak?
I do, Mr. Chairman. I just would be really in favor of taking these into the districts. I, for one, as people know,
get back here.
That, we have.
Nah, he's out. He was so disgusted with us.
And we're right up there for.
You're here.
Street, Belmont Street
are you decent hombre? Are you disgusted with us?
Are we bad little boys?
In the districts.
Do you want to just give us some real political discourse? Right on the keister?
I know it's been a very long time. Last time we did it down in the White Room, if my memory serves me correctly. But I do think that the districts.
Yeah, Chapo Trap House, we're kind of that.
Yeah, like what's
in the area in my district.
The gas station thing they haven't talked about yet.
I think King wants to sign on.
Yeah, we're getting to the gas station. That's
I'd like to sign on.
We had a lot of people yell about it earlier.
I just like to sign on.
Do you remember Terry Virtue?
I'm not saying anything about myself besides I want you to slap me on my little behind with some political discourse.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
GA?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Merle Carlson?
Terry Virtue played for the Worcester Ice Cats, a better team than the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yes.
Yes. Also?
Yes.
Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. Next is request the manager provide council with an update concerning ways the city can improve walkability and make public spaces more inviting by installing street art as well as other forms of artwork.
Yeah, she was talking about chip and reach earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I wanted.
Now she's talking about how we need to get powwow in our neighborhood more.
As I speak, I don't know if Nikos could put up some pictures. One of the things that we see, so I really wanted to try to focus some of the underpass that I see in the district. Looking at
Brendan,
a couple of the underpasses.
Didn't somebody tell us that the way our underpasses are designed, they'll never hold paint? That they're weeping walls?
When I was on the, this got me in a lot of trouble too, but it was fun to do. When I was on the Cultural Commission, was the last time they threw out money to paint the Green Street Bridge. And so that the original mural that was there, it was an oil company or something like that. And they used a really weird old heavy lacquer to make it stick. But if you notice, like anytime it's been painted over the last 40 years or so, it just chips away and whatnot. So it's limestone. And I actually talked to some folks over the person who told us, it ended up being through me, but I went to some people at WPI to talk about the actual possibility of painting that bridge. And just the nature of the material, the bridges, and most of our overpasses, small old overpasses like that are constructed. Nothing's ever going to stick to them. So whatever you paint on it is eventually just going to
having,
fall off. It sucks, but it's the nature of these bridges that were built for strictly commercial purposes, not for aesthetic reasons.
Right.
Unclean.
We got to do more sculpture style stuff.
Yeah,
we
no,
need to
and
put up a safe space.
Well, and that's the thing too. People love paint, and I get it, and because it can be beautiful. But there's other things you can do too. Like it has been done in the city now, other places, but like at the time, I was saying that they should probably do it like a light installation or something underneath that bridge, because it's so long. You could do something really cool with what's there.
Okay, lay it on us.
Yeah, what's the advice you have?
With your
I do write an advice column for the for the Worcester magazine.
How do we make
oh God, that's heavy.
Certain areas,
will he speak to us?
Yeah, want to get him on?
Good, are okay to like do illegal dumping or graffiti or throwing the trash. And
It's
I think
like-
when you walk by a place,
Yeah.
that
Jeffrey
looks
Epstein
nice,
didn't
it
kill
looks
himself.
appealing.
and-
What we've seen is that, for example, some of the walls that have been done,
Jack,
some of the
whatever
murals that have
Kennedy
been done,
Jr.
it
is
has eliminated
alive.
the graffiti. So
No, I don't know.
know
That's heavy though. I don't really.
I can talk about the ones in my district that were repeatedly.
We've got a whole side conversation happening with two people not from Worcester.
Yeah.
It's far more interesting than anything Sarai's saying right now, though.
Yeah, for sure.
On that wall.
I mean, like,
of the mural.
oh, Jason Ombre, you have this problem as well?
No, he watched the documentary.
Sarai, I hate to tell you, but most of the murals from this year's powwow already have graffiti on them.
Yeah, it's
Do
true.
they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
I walk by it almost every day with the dogs.
Walkability.
So that wall right now would be perfect for a safe space because they all need the artists to come back. And during the festival, that was the most party wall. I'm talking about what street is that, Sean? Beacon Street. The Beacon Street walls became the party walls, and there's ladder walls. We can easily buff them again and bring down local artists and have a nice safe space, or you have like every summer jam.
free wall?
Just in that. Yeah, dude.
That'd be great.
That's what we need. If art is truly the special sauce, then we need to give these artists a place to hone their skills and hone their skills in a way that they don't feel threatened that they're going to get thrown in jail.
Yeah, exactly.
We talk a we talk a lot about really enhancing.
The Sort of Late Show did a design contest for the Green Street Bridge at one point. We had some very funny things. One that Bryan, I don't know if Bryan would be willing to share.
And hopefully, as we're working on pre-budget time, that we can.
Right is the whole music of the meeting. That is very true.
Jess, I agree. I want individual organizations to put up individual murals.
You're on mute, Candy.
Oh, sorry. Would like to sign on to this item. I know as Councilor Rivera talked about this.
Just to further that thought, neighborhoods responsible for the murals in their own neighborhoods. They get to find the artists, they get to bring it in. The whole idea was to change the mentality of what Worcester saw as murals. And clearly now we're seeing this being presented in a city council meeting. The opinions have changed.
Everybody signing on as amended to the manager.
Mr. Bergman?
Yes.
Bryan did get too real. That's why he's dead now.
Councilor King?
Mo.
I think he might have stepped out for a second.
I think he's back on.
Okay, go ahead.
Councilor King? Okay, Councilmember Carlson?
I don't necessarily agree with that, man, Southmont.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either, but.
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Bryan, stop haunting us.
Mayor Petty?
Yes, the next item, request the manager and the mayor schedule a community-focused Pan-African flag-raising event and ceremony on Black History Month. Councilor King?
Yes. Sorry, I got disconnected somehow there, but I'm back. Yes. As we know, it's Black History Month. We have some stuff coming up in the next couple of sessions. I really wanted to take the opportunity to try to encourage that the Pan-African flag be raised. Some may not know the history behind the flag, but it's really become a flag that represents unity amongst people of
Is he
African
Googling
descent.
it right now?
Yes, I just did too.
And
Oh, I thought that was his keyboard.
Oh, no, that was
folks of African
searching it.
descent have common interests, that there should be unity.
Fikwi Gakkamukwa wants us to vote on,
And,
which is nice.
this really originated after it was pointed out there was a song back in the 1900s. It was the hottest song of that time amongst folks, and it was entitled "Every Race Has a Flag But the Coon." And Marcus Garvey at that time responded, and he was quoted as saying, "Show me the race or the nation without a flag, and I will show you a race of people without any pride." And in song and mimicry, they have said, "Every race has a flag but the coon." How true. But that was said of us 4 years ago, cannot be said now. And this is really, again, an opportunity to bring our communities together. We have a number of folks from all sorts of places who've immigrated to the city of Worcester, and it's really a unity event for folks who are from the islands, our Afro-Latina brothers and sisters, and our Afro and Latino folks, along with the people who identify themselves as Black and of Black descent. So would love this to move forward. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Rose.
I'd like to sign on and thank Councilor King for bringing this order to our attention. I fully support it. I think that this is, of course, timely with it being Black History Month, but I think it's another awesome opportunity for us to educate folks on the plight of folks in our Black history. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So we will send that to the manager, and the mayor will try to, I think Council King might have to get a flag. That's the only thing we might need, but we'll figure that out. And we'll send that to both of us. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio? Councilor Calorio?
He stepped away.
Okay, Councilor Hajiye?
She did.
God, what a metaphor.
Yes, I'm here.
Councilor Merrill Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
That
Councilor
is,
Rivera?
Yes.
That's a
Councilor
tough
Rose?
room.
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
my
Yes.
God.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. Worcester Regional Transit Authority's reservation of one front seat on each of its buses during the entire month of February, and action done to honor.
That is exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was my original idea, but it wasn't. Our former colleague, Councilor Gary Rosen, had informed me that the WRTA had decided to do this, and I think it's an excellent idea. I just thought it would be a good idea for us to all weigh in as the form of a resolution to.
But at least
offer
he's
our
keeping us
support
healthy
and
now.
also to educate and make sure the listening public is aware of it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll take this as a Council King.
I'd like to sign on to this, and also, this is something that's being done throughout the country, and just to mention that symbolism matters. As conscious as we can be, I think they call it being woke nowadays. I appreciate this woke resolution by Councilor Bergman.
What a troll! What a nice troll!
Pass the resolution on a roll call. Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Rose.
I appreciate this woke.
Just wanted to
My
sign on
Councilor
to this
Bergman.
and thank
Bergman's probably furious
former,
right now.
Council Rosen and Council Bergman for bringing this to our
So
attention as well.
mad.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to sign on as well, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, everybody want to sign on?
I would just like to add, if we could amend it to every February, moving forward, if we did this annually, that would be, I think, awesome, and not just, this 1 year.
He's going to join the stream, huh? QAnon guy?
Back to the WRTA, let them know that we're interested in doing it annually. Okay.
Give us some background. What kind of, how Q is he?
Yes. Councilor Calorio?
Yeah, there's levels here.
Hajiye?
Yeah.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Well, that's
Councilor
great.
Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Would the QAnon
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
person introduce
Councilor Russell?
themselves
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
in the chat?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes. Next is a resolution. Council.
Oh, he's in the Capitol. Okay. Hey,
February 1st
what's up?
to February 28, 2022 is Black History Month. It calls upon the people of Worcester to observe this month. And beyond
you,
the appropriate programs, activities, and reflections, and
were there any repercussions for you being involved in the Capitol
and prosperous for all? Further, that the Worcester City Council believes that Black Lives Matter. Further, that the Worcester City Council commits itself not only to address the symbols and manifestations of institutional racism and white supremacy, but also to proactively identify and address biases, practices, policies, and institutional barriers, and perpetrate injustice and inequity in our city, in our schools, in our community. And we have a attachment to this, as asked to read. That whereas the Worcester City Council takes pride in recognizing February 22nd as Black History Month.
Hey, Brendan, you're white. Can you find the capitalism flag?
Whereas throughout our city, Black people have courageously worn our nation's uniform while defending.
Yeah, I really hate it when I'm made to wear the capitalism flag at the Capitol building. I've been there before.
Black health and wellness.
Did you meet QAnon, Shaman?
We acknowledge a systematic racism has led to African Americans being more likely to die at the early age from all causes.
He also hasn't he denounced everything that he did.
Inequities throughout the healthcare system.
Hunger will do that to you.
And whereas we uplift our community leaders, Black business owners,
a few YouTubers. That's pretty cool.
Well-being and knowledge throughout the many facets
of
the Black community, as well.
YouTubers are always right.
Did you make it inside the Capitol?
Unique mind, body, and soul, which deserves to be well.
Jeez, man.
Well, awesome. You were inside the Capitol.
Events have
Did you piss on anything?
Have you heard from the FBI yet?
And raise voices to bring about lasting institutional and societal change that's desperately needed in our country.
This is so fun, guys.
Recognize and confront these issues by standing in the
I don't even care that he's lying.
Opportunity, eliminating barriers and determination to empower Black people.
Decent hombre, I'm going to leave it to you to get to the bottom of this one.
Yeah.
And whereas we acknowledge that we have never fully lived up to the founding ideals of the country of all people being created equal. Whereas today we celebrate.
I feel bad that we're talking over like a nice sentiment, but whatever.
Nation as well as we recognize the
we hit the 2-hour mark
and strengthen and uplift our city. We honor Black history. We, the City Council, wish to reaffirm our commitment.
Right.
Now, therefore, it is resolved that the city.
It's an hombre. I believe the Trump one.
Hereby acknowledge February 1st to 28th as Black History Month and calls upon the people of Worcester to observe the month and beyond and appreciate the programs, activities, and reflections, and to continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, equitable, and prosperous for all. And further resolve the City Council believes that Black Lives Matter. And further resolve that the City
because it was rigged.
Not only to address symbols and manifestations of institutional racism and white supremacy, but also
I even need to
address biases, practices, policies, institutional.
We stayed the night in the state jail for about 2 weeks, then had to sign some papers. Then I was watched by the police for a house lockdown. That's
Thank you.
I believe you more than I did.
I just want to begin by saying
that.
Do you have any strong opinions on Ron Watkins' run for Congress in Arizona?
Happy Black History Month. This year's focus nationwide is on Black health and wellness. And when we think of that, it really manifests in a lot of ways.
Do you think Robert Kennedy Jr. is alive and well?
Among Black mothers, our generational wealth gap, our systemic barriers.
JFK Jr.
Robert is alive and well, unfortunately.
He's doing great.
I forget. What's the one that the QAnon people believe in?
JFK Jr. didn't die in a plane crash.
Oh, right.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the anti-vaxxer.
Yes.
Okay.
Cheryl Hines' husband.
Yeah, but he makes it really difficult for everybody because he's also like one of the greatest environmentalist warriors of like 2 generations, and yet
the last couple of years
he's got this thing.
We can say
multitudes right here in the city. And as the mayor mentioned, we have great folks here. Bethany Beanie.
Decent hombre doing the real work.
This month isn't.
Well, decent hombre, I can just tell you that I feel it in my heart. And I know it's
a
to be
call
true.
To our city council, to our community to stand in the gaps.
And the media is always lying.
Stand in the gaps in ways that you can. Everybody can do something. And when you stand in the gap for one, you stand in the gap for all members
Bill,
of
aren't
our
you the
society,
medium?
regardless of race.
Yeah, and I lie all the
religion,
time.
socioeconomic status, beliefs,
I'm constantly lying. Yeah, yeah.
You know,
that's exactly.
When you think about all of that in Black History
Decent
Month,
hombre, I am not a
and
decent
remember the
hombre.
mantra that Black Lives Matter.
No, I would never troll you, decent hombre.
As we celebrate this
I
reality,
would never do that.
We want to acknowledge the diversity of the Black community. We have folks who
I want Trump to have my baby.
Across the diaspora as African, African American, Black, Afro Latino, Afro Caribbean, and more. And we know that we all have
love to just get on the stream and talk over the Black City Councilor doing his Black History Month resolutions by saying that I
elected
love
officials
Trump
to uplift
to
our
a
community
random dude
leaders,
from Chicago.
Black business owners,
That's what's
professionals,
happening.
and more, so that we can become a more inclusive community. As mentioned, the health disparities, Councilor Rivera once again bringing forward.
Dude, decent hombre, are you a real guy? This is I cannot tell if you're a troll or not.
Yeah, you kind of feel like the AIM bot.
To identify health disparities that impact our Black lives significantly in terms of
Bryan
experience. And really, again, I'm looking forward to this term, really standing those gaps, eliminating barriers, and empowering people. You think about some of the experiences of our Black folks in the community, including our queer, transgendered.
I'm sorry that I'm not as smart as you, decent hombre. I just believe what I believe.
Basic human rights are often violated.
I do have to say that Chicago hot dogs are trash.
Our allies in the white community, non-Black community.
We should put in one of those beans like Chicago has. Those.
Oh yeah, you know Houston has one. It's just smaller.
And when you think about this again, you know, Black History Month.
Oh, good theory.
Isn't simply about acknowledging the history. It's amplifying voices. It's accentuating opportunities. It's an active. And a lot of folks will also say, Black folks alike, they question, you know, why is it only a month? And I look at it this way, Mr. Chairman. Black History Month.
Please don't put Travis. I know what you were doing, but please don't put Sippo in front of King as he's talking about the importance of Black constituents in Worcester.
Yeah, this is going off the rails.
To identify and to really
fair point.
Give true credence and respect for the true history of our society. So it's an honor to do that, and I hope the council supports this and appreciate the mayor's leadership with this proclamation.
Okay, Councilor Rose, you want to sign on?
Just a couple quick thoughts, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Black History Month is certainly an opportunity for us to appreciate.
Did Donna ever come back, or she just sitting this whole thing out?
Racism, slavery.
Oh, she's hiding.
Highlight and celebrate achievements of Black people in our history, while also acknowledging the adversity that we face and continue to overcome. I certainly appreciate this resolution. And I appreciate the collective support from my colleagues in their observance of Black History Month and the ongoing work that we embark upon in the coming weeks, months, and years as it relates to health disparities and social injustices. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your proclamation, and the city manager and the administration for their ongoing work to create a more equitable and just city for us all. Mr. Chairman, Black history is American history. And I appreciate everyone's efforts to ensure that we use this month and this opportunity to raise awareness and education to all of the residents of the city.
Gloria is just petting a vintage Civil War.
I just want to appreciate the resolution. I don't want to be repetitive, but just like Councilor Rose said, I think, you know, a lot of times it's a level of not being able to, first.
Yeah, we totally realize that, right? Like that's we were talking to another aimbot who was claiming to be inside the Capitol.
We're on your side on this one, pal. We still think that Chicago food is trash.
Hey, guys, speak for yourself. All right, I know the election was rigged.
It was the forefathers.
Because you know why? You know why I know that? You know what proof I have? It's because I believe it. Donald Trump said so, and that is all I need as a good American.
And so much of what we see ourselves is a reflection
literally all anyone's got.
We're taught to see. And I think that this is
that in the construction of a bridge on Green Street. But other than the construction of the bridge on Green Street, it's all a joke.
One of the understanding our identity is understanding and accepting our identity, is understanding, accepting, and loving our identity. And for so long, it's about you look at the TV or you look at a show, and growing up, for many of us, we didn't have people that looked like us. And when we went to school,
please bring your parrot.
We were taught by people that look like us. When we went to college, the majority of the people around us, professors, did not look like us, and a lot of the student body didn't look like us. And then we entered the workforce. And then
once again, she's making great points, but at very long length.
In our work. Again,
yeah, it's more at this point.
Our supervisors and leaderships and CEOs
the
did not
point needing to be made.
With us, and I think again, how does that play into how we have this sense of self-image?
I feel like George is listening to this and saying, like, very genuinely to himself, "Wait a second, did all of this stuff really happen?"
When you look at we feel that. Well, this whole concept
I think it's very
merit-based, that pull yourself up by your bootstrap. But the reality is, when you look at someone like Albizu Campo, that went to Harvard, but was made to sit in the back and stand, actually, not being
another fair point.
Yeah. Have you heard the sound it routes? It sucks.
Of the class. And when he was valedictorian, was actually purposely given less points, so not be allowed to be class valedictorian.
Was that a person?
Class. So that opportunity is not that
what
we're not seeking opportunity.
That was a wolf howling.
It was. I live near the Southbridge Street Fire Department.
And so I think
Or am I trolling?
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but it's difficult to do when you don't have boots and you don't have straps. So give us the same.
I really like this guy coming in from Chicago and just demanding that we do better.
So
funny. Internet rocks.
You're not wrong at all. Yeah, that's
in February, like in this month of February, and these type of resolutions that makes us very purposeful.
Just like the dedication of just staying on here.
Color, because this is something we live with every day, but it makes a.
Oh yeah, the Larry David bit in the latest season.
Yes, playing the Oscars music.
Yeah.
Rosa Parks for the civil rights movement. Yeah, they're incredibly important, and there's much more.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Complexity of being Black in America. And Blackness in America, like Councilor King stated, the diaspora of people from Africa, from the Caribbean, those like myself that identify as Afro-Taino, understanding that legacy, understanding our ancestors.
We don't do the jokes until way to the end, Decent Hombre, and everyone takes a turn doing their favorite rendition of the Aristocrats.
Purposeful.
Yeah, now you're doing a glory though.
As we're looking at economic development within our city, then it makes us think we should be thinking is, okay, how are we dealing with the way that we actually have a level of social segregation?
Where's the whole music that's it?
Take a look at the way that certain things are in our district. If we look at economic disparities,
that's my favorite.
In economics, really looking at economic equities, we want to take a look at who really sits at certain tables, who is able to really make decisions and not decisions regarding the economic development, that it isn't just about erecting buildings but understanding equitable economics.
The Worcester
community, and the majority of them being communities of color. Looking at the issues of inequity.
I don't know, December. I think that you're a
fight right now.
You're a real Trump-loving patriot. It just doesn't know it yet.
Thank you. This
Did
is
you
such an
meet
important issue that I
Hunan
apologize
Shaman while you were in
so
the
passionate about this.
Capitol? Decent
Being
hombre.
able to look at this council now, or as full committee, and begin to look at what a change it is, that it is much more reflective. And so again, it's things like this that makes a community or us as a city
That'd be perfect.
being intentional, being very intentional and more and purposeful regarding our awareness. And actually, it's not just about being woke, but actually having that activated and not just talking about it because it sounds great, but actually doing something about it. And it's not just for us in
Yes,
communities,
less
it's
talk,
for
more rock. I'm all
us
about
as a
that.
whole in the city. If we're really, like I said, the heart of the Commonwealth, it must be
Man,
for
we are being
everyone.
so
The
civically
heartbeat must
sassy
be for
tonight.
everyone, not a select few. Thank you.
Yes, I'll be brief. I would also like to sign on to this. I think it's long overdue that our city council kind of take the stance of Black Lives Matter. I would also just like to amplify, the commitment to not just
The
be
hotel
symbolic,
burning diarrhea
but
juice.
actually
You gotta love it.
holistically,
$1,
have the
all the chips you
framework,
can get.
have the values, and really embody what it means to really be anti-racist.
I mean, I
and
know you have to
uplift,
say that
the
because
Black
you can't
folks in
announce
our city
publicly that you're in the Capitol and
economically,
violation of federal law, but
institutionally, and how
I mean,
we
really,
someone
when you're
hiding
there,
from the
it's not gonna-
Yeah, we all watched it too.
it's important that I stand in solidarity with, the order and Christian King. Councilor King, thank you so much for putting it out there. Because
Oh,
I think,
my announcement
when we
so
learn
fast, I
history,
wasn't
all of us
using the
benefit from
microphone
it. So, thank you.
Thank you. So our motion
I
is that
didn't
Councilor
realize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to show my
I can't hear myself.
Councilor King and the words of Councilor Rivera and Nguyen, and just want to add to that it shouldn't always be the burden of our councilors of color to uplift
Now
issues
I'm
of
in the
race
pocket.
and undoing racism, anti-blackness specifically, and we all have a responsibility.
Curtis, how am I now?
to do that. So,
2 hours into the
Fantastic.
stream, I think I fixed it.
sign on to this as well.
Okay.
You sound good.
So that,
Why didn't anybody say anything?
resolution.
Because
So,
it wasn't
Oh my
just till
God.
recent.
I'm
Till
so
recent.
embarrassed.
Roll call.
Councilor Bergman,
Yes.
Councilor Caloria,
Yes.
Councilor GA,
Yes.
Decent hombre, you seem to me like somebody who would really, really wholeheartedly believe the Russian bot thing.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera, Councilor Rose,
Yes.
Councilor Russell,
What do you plan on doing when you invade Ukraine?
Yes.
and Mayor Petty.
Yes. 11 A's transferring information, communication, records, implementation.
Yeah, this all makes sense to me.
I'm glad you're keeping up, decent hombre.
All connected.
Taking notes.
We're going to change the platform.
Oh, this is
Decent
about
hombre,
Zoom.
can you be my new dad?
And, go in the future. What's the date on that?
Curtis trolling you.
Curtis, hey, buy it for me. Go ahead.
Committees Afterwards, it shouldn't be a big change for council nor the public. I think the benefits of switching to Zoom is we can sustain the same link for city council every week, as well as committee meetings depending on the room that we're meeting in. So
And now we're lining the pockets of Big Zoom.
residents. And that's why we were, with the council's approval, we want to switch to the Zoom meetings.
You know that someone's gonna have trouble with Zoom next week.
So we can, Council King?
Oh, yeah.
With any luck, somebody's a cat.
Sure.
It's proper.
I assure you, I'm not a cat.
Improved access. I know our technology folks have been working on this too. But really, the clerk is often the front face.
That's what we said, Brian. Oh wait, were you paying attention to any of that part?
Give his proper due to.
Were you trolling me, Brian?
Okay, so
Ooh.
one thing you can talk about too is my understanding. A lot of cities have people sign up ahead of time, like Friday at 4 o'clock. Doesn't mean you can't amend it later on. People who want to show up later, but at least the clerk will know who's on the phone instead of trying to guess, and which we're getting better at, by the way, with the phone numbers now. But this will allow.
I say Candy too. Although Donna could be as well.
We'll say new or something like that. Whatever it might be, something you want, maybe we'll talk about in committee.
Donna must have caught a chill. It's a big coat.
At the beginning. Okay, so send that to MO.
And
Yes.
Brian, you've been mentioned that you're dead on Twitter.
Councilor Mayor Carlson,
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilor
That's
Rivera,
true. And I'd have some cool friends.
Yes.
Yes.
Toomey,
Yes.
and Mayor Petty.
Yes. 12A to 12G is motions to adopt. 12H to 12M.
I was saying I don't have any friends.
Motions to accept.
But I will say that anybody who hangs out under the Green Street Bridge would be infinitely more funny on this program than me.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, gotta say it.
King.
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson.
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Rose.
Yes.
Dude, everyone's giving me shit tonight. It's crazy.
Mayor Petty.
Yes. Okay, we have tabled under privilege. We have item 13A.
Gas station time.
Better. Because the council requests the manager consider bringing forth an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance.
Here's the devil himself, Doug Arbiter.
Did he call in tonight? I wasn't on.
No, he didn't call in tonight.
No.
Why? We can
Should give him the link for this.
If you want, just to go over it. I think there were some ideas there were some ideas about maybe using changing the zoning.
My guardian angel.
People who are building gas stations be able to put the technology in the ground so if things change later on. But we have Councilor Bergman, followed by Councilor Talhaji.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly think that there may be some wisdom in future orders regarding charging stations, but as this order stands, my motion is to file. And I'm going to just talk a few minutes.
Mo Bergman is
about
such a
why. I think
shit.
some of the previous speakers said it best. You know, we sat through a significant
such a
amount
cock.
of testimony as a council last term, and we discussed issues regarding our green plan. And I believe the date was April of 2021, which is less than a year ago. We decided on timetables in which we're going to implement our green plan. The issue of fueling stations being eliminated maybe shows up in 2045. It doesn't show up 9 months after we spent an inordinate amount of time, unanimously, I would add, agreeing as a council that the time frames were appropriate as far as what was suggested. Now, having said that, what's changed? Well, I did a little bit of homework on it, and there was actually,
Good job, Mo.
I believe, 2 stations that have been allowed since 2020, and there hadn't been a previous new gas station since 2018. The procedure to get a new gas station
Just got a
up and running
fantastic
requires a special permit. So
suggestion that we
it's not
start running auto
automatic.
tune
It's limited
on
to
the
certain
council
zones.
feed when they
And neighbors
drone on.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
So good.
Recently, as a few months ago, perhaps even more recent, one of those items was played out and heard in front of the zoning board, and the application was withdrawn because people objected. That's the democratic process. Eliminating legal businesses is not the democratic process. There's no
Yes, it is, because it would go through the democratic process to be approved.
the rate of
Stupid
use, and I've
fucking
challenged
motherfucker.
others to come up with different numbers of electric cars in 2021 was approximately 4%. So we're not talking about a huge increase yet. I suspect in the future there will be a huge increase in electric cars.
Good
And I suspect
suspicion.
in the future it'll make sense to revisit whether or not opening new gas stations makes sense. But 9 months after we all unanimously agreed that the timetable would be decades, not months, decades away, I would caution my colleagues to not support this. I would also say that gas stations are not only employers for lots of people, they're also employers for immigrants. They also include oftentimes donut shops and mechanical stations. And
I mean, I would never work there, but
for people to be employed. I would further add that oftentimes neighborhoods, may not realize that the gas station is needed until it's gone, and that very land is oftentimes difficult to redevelop because of the environmental issues associated with its previous use. I'm not encouraging the building of new gas stations. I'm realistic enough to know that in time, electric cars will take over gas-powered vehicles. But what I am saying is 9 months after we all decided unanimously that 2045 was the time period in which we're going to eliminate refueling stations, we shouldn't be jumping to do that 9 months later, especially where over 95% of the vehicles still being used are non-electric vehicles. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, my motion is to file.
his argument doesn't make any sense because what the petition is just saying that
No
for
new gas stations.
Yeah, that's a stupid argument.
the pros and cons of having additional gas stations in our city. I think prohibiting the conversation is not giving us the room to talk about how we actually use zoning in a way that benefits communities. There is precedent. There's a growing number of communities, including
Travis.
California, who have suggested and have passed similar ordinances.
Yeah.
And the reason
I'm gonna put a petition in next week's agenda. More donut shops in the city.
Replace all the gas stations with donut shops.
More gas stations create.
That guy who owns every Dunkin' Donuts in the city will call in though, complaining.
Refueling stations. This is not just about EV stations or charging stations. We're talking about both as an economic development measure, as well as looking at the environmental impact of gas stations. There's a growing body of research that shows that as states have measuring safety measures around their safety parameters, there are environmental impacts. We have about 60 gas stations around the city. Some of these are already, some of the proposed ones are placed in or at least expected to be in flood zones. I think at minimum we should have the conversation and not stifle the conversation. I don't plan to vote in favor of Councilor Bergman's motion to file. I would like this conversation to be whether that's at the zoning board.
It's amazing that Mo punctuated his thoughts with gas stations are essentially mini Superfund sites. So we should just leave them be.
Councilor Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I first want to say that I'm not in favor. I'd have to do a little bit more homework in amending the zoning ordinance. I don't ever feel like it's a good idea to say that the city's not open for business in any one category.
Wow.
However, I do see the
What a cuck.
in exploring to both Council Hadji's and Council Bergman's points around 2045 and, you know, us getting to a place where we're completely like environmentally
an entirely cowardly stance. Good job, Sean Rose.
I do see
yeah, for real. I'm not gonna say anything either way. Just like I'm gonna think about it more, and I want to say that on the record.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, of looking at, you know, are there measures
Why even speak, right?
that sort of get us towards more environmental friendly
discuss itself.
I'm not opposed to the conversation
Yeah.
happening. I think it does have some merit when you look at it through the lens of how are we going to get there in 2045, and this is just, you know, part of that conversation.
That's the other amazing thing too. These folks seem to actually believe that they have some impact in like the transition to electric vehicles. Like somehow the city of Worcester has a say in market forces that are being controlled by some of the largest corporations in the world.
Yeah, it's unreal.
All over.
I was lip syncing.
The hubris.
Mr. Chairman, you know, the thing that jumps to mind is, do we really need more gas stations here in the city of Worcester?
No.
As a social worker, I'm in my car often, meeting with families and kids across.
We do need more donut shops, though. So I'm definitely writing that petition. I'm going to write it right now.
The thing I just want to kind of point out is, as mentioned, more gas station creates more competition, which would possibly and potentially result in selling cheaper gas.
No.
The research shows that likelihood would actually slow down the transition to electric. And that's something that we should be cognizant of as well. And I think, you know,
what the fuck?
That we have that big of a, we have that outsized of an impact on consumer vehicles.
Is ensuring that there's that dialogue. And I
This would be a ridiculous argument for a U.S. senator to make.
I mean, that's the thing. The math behind gas stations is pretty basic, right? Like gas is, for the most part, a loss leader, right? Like you either are a repair station or you're a convenience store. You're not making profits off of the gas. That's pretty. It really just is a giant loss leader. But it draws people in for the other stuff.
Whether or not we need more gas stations. What else can be done with those properties that have been vacant? Is there something that the city can do differently to try to market?
Am I right? Am I right?
Chamber and work.
That's what we're missing tonight, Brian.
What additional steps can be made so we can have
All right, so I have more donut shops instead of gas stations in the city. Should I be more specific than that?
But would the donut shops be successful without gas stations attached to them? Okay, I think that was Mo's point. You need both. You need a hook.
Yeah, I'm looking
Okay.
at,
Yeah, don't tell them about Glazy Susan or Doughboys.
basically, this merits the discussion. We're talking about the concept of new gas stations. And right now, the reality of what we're doing, if we're really committed to being a greener city, we all.
Okay, how about donut shops are a requirement for every gas station?
A lot of the environmental issues and committed to being a greener Worcester. And if this
More donut shops than we convert them to run that biodiesel crap from all the oil from the donuts.
Like what we're doing tonight.
Biodiesel filling stations.
Further conversation to see where we are, to look at all
it's a completely siloed business model. That's genius, Travis.
Goes in alignment with what we're looking at for greener Worcester.
Councilor Russell.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, with all due respect to my colleagues, I have no trouble at all having the Economic Development Committee or any other subcommittee of the council having a discussion about, ways to encourage people to transition to electric vehicles, do everything we can for the environment. But Mr. Chairman, this item, if you read it, it doesn't say any of that. It says that we're asking request the city manager consider bringing forth an ordinance, amending the zoning ordinance of the city to prohibit the construction of or new land use for fossil fuel automobile.
Dude, we all read the fucking item.
It doesn't say what
well, Mo didn't.
Discussion about. It says, change the zoning ordinance to take away a land use from property owners that legitimately own properties.
This fucking guy is right.
Should be considered.
All right, so I'm writing that donut shops are a requirement for every gas station in the city. You guys sign off on this too? I'm submitting.
I'll second the motion.
All
right, I'm submitting it.
Electric conversions, but this item should be filed the way it's written if you read it, unless we want to change the zoning ordinance, which is what the item says.
Submitted.
Okay. So your amendment would be to, not an amendment.
An amendment, it's a separate item, just to allow the Economic Development Committee or the request.
He would know the difference.
Has a discussion that all the various different councils have talked about.
Okay.
What the hell, George Russell? That was so stupid.
For real.
Unless we want to change the zoning ordinance as it reads.
That's what we want to do.
I think that's what Doug is asking, isn't it?
Okay. Councilor Toomey, followed by Councilor Corio.
Oh my God.
Mr. Chair, I concur with Councilor Russell regarding the specific petition that was made. But I do think that we need to have further conversation about this issue. So I think that that's a good compromise.
Last week set a 4-hour record. Do you think we're going for it?
We'll
no.
The conversation
you think so?
This is like the last thing.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Changing the zoning laws. Thank you.
Okay. Who's next? I think it was Councilor Corio.
I really want 7C to get
I
mentioned.
Support, filing this item. I support.
I don't think it's gonna.
Here. It just.
I mean, I wish it would though. Eddie Mecca. Eddie Mecca way.
Anybody else before hasn't spoken? Councilor Merrill Council.
Do you know where that item came from?
Doug filed it. Oh no, the
Eddie Mecca one. I hope Doug filed that one too. That'd be even better.
Patricia Smith Murphy requested it.
Reasons that my colleague, Councilor Russell, talked about. This is talking about changing the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, he left.
I do agree. If you want to have the conversation,
yeah, he gave up on us.
Wrong with having the conversation, and there is nothing prohibiting economic development or whomever from having the conversation. And I think it's a good, healthy conversation. But I also know that not too long ago, we all signed on.
Shout out to the people that are just here watching us and not commenting too. We see you. You're awesome.
We have new discussions, but changing the ordinance is not something that I can support. So I support Councilor Bergman's motion for filing this item.
What does the gas station lobby in Worcester, Massachusetts look like that is creating this much conversation?
It's my understanding that the city of Worcester goes.
They're so scared of doing anything at all.
Zoning change
Yes.
amendment, whereby there is a public discussion in the planning board, in economic development, and perhaps maybe even the ZBA in this case. So my question through you, Mr. Chair, to the city solicitor is, am I correct in understanding that process?
Mr. Trainer? Anybody lost him?
No, I'm here, Mr. Chairman. I was printing something, so I want to wait for the printer to stop.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure. Let me read
I was
again.
printing out my pornographies for later.
I was printing something. Amendment goes in the following way: the city council, the resident petition city council. It goes to the planning board. The planning board has a public hearing. It goes to economic development. There's a hearing there as well. Economic development then makes a recommendation to city council.
So by the time that process is done, you're at 2045 easy.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, ask you a secondary question. This order is basically asking council to follow that process.
Essentially, yes. It's not worded specifically in accordance with the ordinance, but it works. So it would be asking the manager, the council, to request the manager to propose an amendment.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
So, yeah, I think if it's passed as is, it's all saying the council agrees with it. That's what the issue, I think, is. But I think we had Councilor Nguyen. You didn't speak yet, did you? No, Councilor Nguyen.
So I would be opposed to filing it. I think for myself, as someone who is fairly young, I am pretty sensing the urgency of climate change and the need to shift to a greener Worcester. And I know a lot of the young folks also
I like
feel
to
that way. And so I know we keep
slamming, hey, I'm young and you're not, idiots.
to create the future. And I think a lot of
I ride my longboard places, so
creating it and not just wait for
kiss my dirt.
When we could shift, but that we are the ones to lead the shift. And so I would love for us to have the conversation and move it to econ development.
Okay. Let me see. Councilor King, followed by Councilor Bergman. I'm sorry, Councilor Bergman first. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I spoke once, so if any of my colleagues haven't, I'd leave it up to you, but I don't mind deferring to somebody who hasn't spoken yet. Okay, so I'll be very, very brief. It seems
More donuts.
to me that the impetus
I'll be very, very brief.
of new gas stations is the common enemy of non-electric cars. And
Dude, Mo Bergman is such a sniveling, just fucking
transition into
idiot asshole.
The sense of urgency
Yeah, man.
seems to be not there. 96% still drive cars that,
And we don't need any more, Mo. That's the whole point. We just don't need any more. We're fine.
More reasonable, more affordable, more sensible. I'm not opposed to that. I recognize that's coming, but it's a slippery slope. And what I mean by that,
Do you think every morning when Dr. Bergman gets on her bike to ride to work, like Mo just runs out to the driveway and starts yelling at her to be a better American and drive a car like a normal person?
Electric cars. It's a very slippery slope. This is still.
It's not a slippery slope, Mo.
We decided less than a year ago.
Guys,
we're not
once
gonna
we have electric cars,
require
then we'll have more public transportation. The more public transportation means more people on bicycles. Then I can't drive in the bicycle lane. It's a slippery
So we had
slope.
a conversation last year, which we decided 2045 would be the time period that makes sense. We can revisit that well before.
Oh, you're
I would welcome revisiting it.
all right. I almost said it, Brendan, but I don't want to get attacked
But
again.
revisiting it so soon after when the
We're not going to be alive in 2045.
doesn't to me speak of a sense of urgency removing the possibility for future gas stations. That day will come, but it's far away.
We agree that when I'm dead, we can do whatever we want.
Not a moment sooner.
So we have a motion to file, and we have an amendment. I think, Mr. Clerk, I think the motion to file takes precedent over the amendment.
So, Mr. Mayor,
What's the
I think
amendment?
It was a motion to file, and then was also a separate motion, was my understanding, correct, Councilor?
Bagel bites sound pretty fucking good right now.
Yep. Okay.
Anything but this meeting sounds really
Apologies,
fucking good.
This is awful.
I just want to, I know that Council Russell made that second.
Nothing
motion.
good's ever gonna
Do you
happen.
mind just reading it? I know that he had referenced, and
So is this meeting actually going to end with Eddie Mecca?
I don't think so.
That's how this is gonna go?
I don't think that's. Are they even going to get to that?
I like where Council Russell was going with it. I just want to hear.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Russell, can you rephrase that? Whatever they said.
the Chairman of Economic Development would like to word it. I'll be happy to entertain his wording. Whatever he feels comfortable with for wording, as long as it doesn't change his zoning ordinance.
Okay.
What is the amendment accomplishing? It's absolutely nothing.
I'm sorry. I think the separate law would be to have the Economic Development Committee discuss.
What?
The,
Discuss what?
Vehicles.
Fossil fuel automobile refueling stations citywide, or would you say in electric vehicles, George?
Holy shit. This is just so bungled. Like, hilariously, cartoonishly bungled. They have no idea what they're even talking about. They just are allergic to doing anything productive or good.
The future
They're
of
just
electric vehicles and how to encourage them in the city. I'll leave it at that. If anybody wants amended, they can.
Okay. And anything else pertaining to such? Okay.
It might not hurt to say as it relates to future development of gas stations, because that's kind of what we're talking about here, right? I mean,
okay.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Perhaps this question through you to the city solicitor again. Any items that go to economic development as a discussion do not necessarily come with an action attached to them, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, there could be an action. I mean, if they do an order out of the committee, correct? Doesn't have to be. So you could have a motion out of committee to do
the latter.
Vote on that.
Okay, thank you.
Getting philosophical.
First thing is the file. Then the second thing we can vote on is if that succeeds, we can vote on Council Russell's motion to send it to Economic Development, his motion. Okay?
2045, Worcester's going to have a fucking seaport.
Mr. Mayor, the roll call to file.
Yeah, we'll be Worcester by the sea.
Yes. Council Calorio,
Yes.
Council Haji,
No.
Council King,
No.
Council Merrill Carlson,
Yes.
Chris is done.
Council Rivera,
No.
This is the first
Council
mixed
Rose?
vote we've heard in a very long time.
Council Russell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Council Toomey,
Yes.
and Mayor Petty.
Yes. Then we have Council
What?
Russell's motion to send the Economic Development Committee. Roll call.
What was the vote, Mr. Chairman?
So, Mr. Mayor, so for the record, it was 6-5. We had Council Bergman, Council Calorio, Council Merrill Carlson.
Joe, you said the wrong thing, dude.
Toomey and Mayor Petty vote yes. Council
Yeah.
Haji, Council King, Council Nguyen, Council Rivera, and Council Rose voted no.
Nico's saying that for a reason.
Yeah.
Send the committee. Roll call.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, it's just going
Dude.
through my mind with this.
This is hilarious.
Just for clarification.
This
this
is
particular
hilariously
motion
stupid.
Would do the same thing as what we just filed. Is that right?
Mr. Solicitor?
Through the chair, no, not my understanding. The one you just filed was requesting the commencement of the zoning ordinance amendment process. This motion is to send an item to the committee for discussion and review.
Holy shit.
Okay, and they can make motions or whatever they want, chairman's orders or whatever.
And some, correct, as the chairman said before, coming out of the committees, it could be proposals, orders back to the full council, suggest something.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, could we have a reconsideration vote, please?
Motion is you consider?
On the filing? Yes.
Filing, yes.
Councilor Bergman?
No.
Councilor Calorio?
No.
Councilor Haji?
Yes.
Councilor King?
No.
Councilor Merrill Carlson?
No.
Councilor Nguyen?
Are they voting on the reconsideration now?
We're doing the recall for just the filing of.
Correct.
Okay.
Councilor Nguyen, correct. So reconsideration of the previous vote would open it back up. If you have 6 votes, that would open up the vote up again. If you don't have 6 votes, then you can't reconsider it for 90 days.
Okay. Are we re-roll calling or does it go back to me?
That's like, when it goes to you, yes.
Okay. So this is, okay, so I voted no the first time, right?
You voted yes the first. I'm sorry, you voted no, correct. Not to vote.
Okay, yeah, no.
Councilor Rivera?
No.
Councilor Rose?
No.
Patel's the only one who understands what's going on.
Yes.
No.
Sorry, no.
No. So now we have Councilor Russell's motion. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor
I'm testing Patel right now.
Yes.
Councilor Haji?
No.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Merrill Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. Next
Yeah, we all are, Scubo.
Been over 3 hours and I have no idea what's going on.
The city archive, including the future location of the archive.
Holy crap, that was
61 Seaver Street. The old Becker
maybe
College.
the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
the city
that
council
was
do.
mind numbing.
Yeah.
Is that fine with everybody? Okay.
What do you think the overlap looks like of people
Just wanted
who
to
think
clerk with the time
strongly
frame.
believe
I-
that there
I
should be
looked
more
at it
gas
last night, I didn't
stations
get a chance
in
to
their
look at it.
neighborhood, but also
What's the
strongly
time frame that we're
believe
looking
that
at here?
there's likely to be an affordable housing project in their neighborhood and are already really angry about it?
The council.
Brendan.
We have a small presentation. I also want to reiterate. I want to appreciate the support the city manager has had with
Small
this kind of project. We've
presentation.
been working for about 2 years on it now. The manager visited different archives around the state, whether it's the city of Boston, city of Providence as well.
Oh, is the archive on Seaver Street?
Every time I see the manager, he constantly asks me, what's the archive?
They're going to bring in the
update,
person
where
from the
we
library
stand?
to give another
So we're
report.
grateful that the city council approved the purchase of the Becker properties, and with the manager's support, we're going to try to host an archive within the old Becker library. So we have a full presentation for the committee, which we'll bring in for a further discussion. But the time frame on this is the next 6 months.
Good.
Have some kind of structural plan in place. Meet with the.
I'm all for a city archive.
In charge of the Seaver Street building. And for our 300th anniversary, and I don't know if I'm speaking for the manager here as well as for the mayor, to have some kind of public presentation of the archive plan for the city of Worcester. It's certainly historic for the city. We've never had an archive before. And certainly,
It was only 10 years ago you had to print out your emails because you didn't have enough storage space. So yeah, no shit, there's no archive.
In the city,
The solicitor was just printing.
His emails. And you have down his inbox for the week.
Expand if I missed anything.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the clerk's work on this, and he certainly captured most of it. It's not just a nice thing to do in terms of preserving history. It's one of our legal obligations is to maintain certain city records. And I'll give you a great example of how it became very relevant. We had a lawsuit on the Doherty High School project because we weren't immediately able to locate the vote of the Parks Commission in 1960. So there probably isn't a day that goes by that we're not looking for.
Ed, can you talk about getting fined for
council action from
withholding police records in a lawsuit? Can you talk about that?
The ones you knew exactly where they were but wouldn't turn them over anyways?
And in many cases,
I knew where they were. They were ashes in my fireplace.
in appropriate locations. they really risk losing access to those documents. Us for our day-to-day.
Guys, I think what we're doing here is
city
just
government, but
masochism.
also our collective history.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Decent Hombre had a point. This is stupid.
They're right to leave.
This masochism is brought to you by Crafty
Kombucha.
Worcester's local culture, which is the brewery.
So it's going to be
Drinking a nice crafty kombucha is a lot better than watching the city council not even know what they are doing.
And it'll be us, doing right by our obligations.
The Telegram lawsuit thing is pretty nuts, though. I read the decision.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, like they really let the city have it. Like,
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the context.
Dude,
so
I'm gonna. All right, maybe
I can hear
Ralph's parking lot at in an hour. Hopefully, if we're not still doing this. And
so the motion is to
I
send
hope
that
there's an
motion.
hour debate on Eddie Mecca Way.
Curtis, what Bill just said was meet him at
Mr. King.
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson.
Yes.
Councilman Nguyen.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Rose.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Councilor Toomey.
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Nothing
It is
good.
crazy we don't have one.
I think that brings us to the end of the meeting.
Eddie Mecca Way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I usually don't bring things forward at this point. But
Especially things
I
this
did
silly,
wanna bring
Christian.
forward
This is you?
Some of the concerns from the community regarding some of the snow removal.
Oh.
As it relates to our school.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
children.
did a bad job.
I know myself.
Mo was like, we agreed 2045. We wouldn't remove the snow till 2045. We all agreed this.
Because there was snow walls blocking the crosswalks, and just wondering. I'd like to file a motion
True.
just asking for a report back on if there's been any changes in how we manage, oversee, enforce related to sidewalks.
Also, when there's a parking ban, where do people park?
Properties, what
in the garages, and then they have to try to get a ride or pay for an Uber back to the
Yeah,
apartment.
exactly. And then the DPW is like, well, we didn't remove the snow because no one's going in. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Circular.
And visiting some friends, having to walk probably 10 yards in the road, away from the crosswalk to get across the street's been challenging. And a number of folks, I don't know, again, part of that motion, maybe report back from the schools to what their process is, and wondering if, and I'm sure the answer is probably we're already doing it, but is there some sort of planning for
flamethrower would solve so many problems in this city.
Isn't that didn't one of the Boston mayors request a study on that from Harvard or MIT?
What's the plan there?
Can't we just? I think he was like looking in. He asked MIT to research napalm to remove snow in Boston.
There was, I remember that year that we had like 8 feet of snow. There's a couple provinces in Canada that have a thing. It's called like a snow dragon or something like that, and it's like a little truck that has like a big nozzle coming out of it. And it just a giant flamethrower that just runs down the sidewalk and melts everything.
The roofing torches work really well. The ones that melt tar, it's basically a small torch. It's controllable. You wear a backpack.
Commissioner Fink and I went out early Sunday.
Yeah, they sell on Amazon, but they sell the label on Amazon is like weed torch because it just for long like grass on your sidewalks.
Yeah, just a controlled backdraft.
Try to make recommendations about whether school could open on time on Monday, and I thought the school department did a pretty good job from what I could see in terms of their property.
R.I.P. Snow Dragon, dead with Bryan.
Parks locations, that we had opened the sidewalks well within the 10-hour time frame that we ask everybody to open up the sidewalks after the snow had fallen. I'm sure there probably were issues. I'll be honest with you, one of the things that the commissioner I noticed quite a bit of is private plow operators plowing out a driveway, plowing out maybe a business parking lot, and plowing it right across the street and putting huge mounds into areas that had already been plowed by the city trucks. or residents snow blowing back into the street. That
What
had
about
just been cleared.
guys who own buildings then ignore that they own the buildings, like on 47 Herman Street, where I complain every single time there's snow, and I guess they get fined, but removal of snow does not happen.
Remove the snow, and people put the snow right back or plow right across the street and make enormous mounds. So
it really is amazing how angry Ed gets when you suggest that maybe somebody under him didn't do things perfectly.
Yeah.
Nobody would argue that some people forget their sidewalk or just ignore their sidewalks. Some people throw snow in the street. Totally valid. But that's not the point. Like sometimes the city and its contractors do a shitty job plowing the streets. And you should be able to acknowledge that.
Chairman, I just want to share a little feedback, if I could. On Sunday, I sent the manager.
There's streets in my neighborhood that still haven't been plowed.
An email and asked them if city,
like you're driving on like a foot of packed down snow.
Were inoperative, and if they had conspired to shut it down during the storm. And the reason for that was because I didn't get any calls. But of course, when I
my computer's dying.
I got a couple of calls. But I think that overall,
it's
taking into consideration that it was a 24
slowing down. I'll see you guys.
I know.
Take care, brother.
Yeah.
Happy to represent that,
it's gonna die, right?
The streets were very good, and they were still chasing complaints and chasing some of those replow issues that the manager referred to. But compared to other storms in previous years, where my phone as a district,
it does sort of look like a green screen,
would ring off the hook. This was well handled by the department.
Councilor Hajiat?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to start by expressing my deep appreciation for the workers. I know that I received feedback and compliments. I've been texting with the commissioner as well, and I think both Councilor Rose and I on social media have been tagged a lot about some issues around accessibility, especially around sidewalks, shoveling of bus stops, children's school access around Sullivan South High. I understand this is a super complex. It was a terrible snowstorm. I think that what I would prefer and what I would encourage us to do is just take a look collectively at some of the systemic and thematic things that have come up. And I had promised Commissioner Fink that I would put those in a document and try to see, like you said, Mr. Manager, to see specific case
Look
by
at
case,
Christian
also
King
to kind
dancing
of
back
highlight
and forth in
where
the
some of
spring.
the quality issues are, whether it's with the
Of course he stopped.
subcontractors, or storm treatment.
Yeah, I didn't catch it.
Definitely appreciate all the hard work of the commissioner and his staff, and would just like to offer that as a suggestion moving forward, that we take a look at some of the issues that folks have expressed already. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And so we'll get a report back from the manager. I just want to thank Mr. Fink and the commissioner and all the workers. And went out in that storm. It was pretty bad that day on Saturday, and we did get some complaints, but we always get complaints. But it was interesting. I drove around Sunday morning too, and
Are you not supposed to,
all the
Mr.
snow
Mayor?
that was being pushed back into the street. Like it was just more obvious than ever. Maybe because there was so much snow, if the wind drifts, nobody had any place to put it. But something we can be aware of in the future too. So we're going to send that to the manager. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman,
Yes.
Councilor Calorio,
Yes.
Councilor Hajier, Councilor King,
Yes.
Councilor Merrill Carlson,
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilor Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Rose,
Yes.
Russell,
He fell asleep.
Councilor Russell,
I'm sorry. Yes.
Councilor Toomey,
Yes.
and Mayor Petty.
Yes. That brings us to the end of the meeting. Let's wish everybody a happy Lunar New Year, and it's the year of the
Lunar.
tiger. And, so enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next Tuesday. So, I'm sorry, Councilor Rivera, did you have something?
Just saying goodbye.
Oh, okay.
Thank God.
Not everybody.
Motion to adjourn.
Good night.
Councilor Bergman,
Wait, whoa. Motion to adjourn. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman,
Yes.
Councilor Calorio,
Yes.
Councilor GA,
Yes.
Councilor King, Councilor Carlson,
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Nguyen,
Yes.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Rose,
Yes.
Councilor Wilson,
Mayor Carlson already left.
Councilor Toomey, Mayor
Yes.
Petty.
Yes.
Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, that was riveting.
That was depressing. I mean, like, it was normally stupid up until the voting down even ever talking about a gas station moratorium, and no one had any idea what was going on, and it just got like depressing. It's like these people are never going to get their act together, and I'm not convinced that any of them really knew, besides Attell and Mo Bergman, what their votes were accomplishing. Like, it was very, very it was just like, that was awful. I think I have to write about that this week, unfortunately, because it just showed where we're at with counselors who seem like allergic to doing anything bold or productive for the future of this city, and counselors who are actively hostile to things like that, like Mo Bergman, who I think delivered a completely bad faith argument against a moratorium on gas station construction, like a deliberately bad faith argument, whereas
Right.
George Russell was just fucking confused and had no idea what was going on.
But it's like we were talking about last week in regards to a moratorium on evictions, as well as the vaccine passports, which everything we do is reactive in this city, and there is like an open hostility to being forward thinking about anything, and that's just depressing. Yeah.
That was and for Mayor Joe Petty to posture like being all progressive now that he's running for state senate, and then be the deciding vote against killing that idea forever.
Did it sound like to you that they got confused and some people wanted to reopen it, but they thought it was the revote already?
I think Nico was genuinely surprised by the way that Joe Petty voted. And that's why he read the vote count into the record again, because he was like, wait, did you mean to say yes instead of no? Because he voted yes on the motion to file. So I don't even know if Joe Petty understood what he was doing. And the only person who has who like actively said they didn't understand was two. And they had good reason to not understand, because it got really muddled and confusing there. And if I haven't been watching city council meetings for like 5 years now, I would have been confused too, but I'm sort of used to this bullshit now.
Yeah, no, and you can look at it just even from a business perspective. It doesn't line up with tradition in the city either, right? Which is why, again, the whole thing just stinks. It's we do put caps on marijuana, right? Like when it comes to retail sales, before we even have an idea of what the local tolerance for sales is going to look like. We have a historical cap on liquor licenses for package stores and whatnot are historically difficult to get out of protectionist reasons. Like, if they followed their own logic, like putting a moratorium on gas stations is the right thing to do to protect the industry that's already here and not allow it to get oversaturated. Like, even if you took a climate argument off the table, it's like, it just, what they did doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And the argument for why they should file it and not even consider it was just in such bad faith to invoke the Worcester's climate resolution, and like basically say that we can't act on this too quickly. It was a very weird position to take, because it's not something that you're even acting on. You're not removing gas stations. There's plenty of gas stations in the city. You're just putting a cap on new construction, because what Attell was trying to get across, and what no one else on the council seemed to understand, is that our land and our vacant parcels are worth more than just becoming another gas station. The plot of land next to Walgreens on Park Ave, where the gas station was going to go, is right next to like 3 other gas stations, and it wouldn't benefit the city environmentally, or from the perspective of urban design, or from the perspective of density, or turning that neighborhood into more of a neighborhood. It wouldn't benefit the city in any way to put another gas station there. And that was the argument against having a gas station there. It's a bigger thing than just talking about our climate resolution and our climate goals. It's about thinking about space democratically and not just letting it be open to the free market. And, you know, it's thinking like what we deserve and what we should have and what would make our city better with these parcels. And everyone else just seemed so allergic to the council like exercising that authority, and the council thinking about itself as an agent for developing a city that we want to have, and not just as a vessel through which commerce flows uninhibited, you know? And
yeah, and I mean that was a big part of Mo's whole argument, was gas stations are toxic by design. So what, we need more? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. Like, why would you? So we have parcels that are currently not Superfund sites. The best we can do as a city is make them Superfund sites. Like, how is that a winning argument for anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's bewildering. Like, the opponents of this just kind of span the entire gauntlet from Mo Bergman being calculating and making a bad faith argument just because he didn't like the idea, to like Kate Toomey and George Russell having absolutely no idea what the fuck they were talking about at all, but still just not liking it on impulse. And then George Russell throwing in that amendment that he couldn't even describe, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't even describe what the amendment was or what he wanted it to be. And that they had to like basically sound it out together out in the open what George Russell wanted, because he had no idea what he wanted.
You
but
basically
still,
just watched the city council turn into douchebags in pickup trucks parking at charging stations just to be giant dicks.
Right.
Like,
right.
nothing was accomplished, but like, yeah, you showed somebody.
Yeah. That was awful.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm starting to think some of these councilors are stupid too. And this was a long stream, but it was, for the most part, before that item, pretty fun stream. We had some goofballs from Chicago in the comments.
That was
and
great.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
now I
ton
get
of
to
fun.
see the machete that I gave to Travis.
I was going to say,
which is fantastic.
I was hoping that would make an appearance tonight. Yeah.
One of 2 commemorative machetes that have been handed out in the city of Worcester. That's fantastic to see it still in circulation.
I was proud to put it. My now ex-wife didn't like to have it in the house, so I'm now properly putting on a display in my new office.
If you ever like go on a rampage and decide to kill somebody, can you please make sure you do it with that? I mean, I know the tomahawk is probably going to be the thing that you go for, but
I'm using the level, the right angle. That's my go-to. That and the X-Acto blade. Everybody get out of my way.
Hell yeah.
Well, this has been a fun stream. Do you guys have any final thoughts that you want to leave the people with?
No. Except I'd like more people from Chicago watching the stream and not really understanding it. That was fun.
And if you've lost faith, don't feel bad. You're not alone.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Well, I'm going to work on raising Bryan O'Donnell from the dead for next week.
Yeah, we'd love to see if we can see if he'll come out of a cave in 3 days. Be the second coming.
That's it. Bryan O'Donnell's our Jesus, rather. See you all next week. See you next Tuesday.
Yeah, see you guys next Tuesday. Bye-bye.